Good evening and welcome to the second half of the Overwatch Pacific Championship English broadcast. We're into week 11, the final week of regular season play. It's day number 2. Got 2 more exciting matches to go, and I mean, I think that we saved the best for last.
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
Look, yesterday we gave Blank their send-off before playoffs. Today we've given AHQ their send-off before playoffs. Their game against Fireball was the last we will see of them before they meet Blank at the semi-finals next weekend, but we're not quite done with Fireball just yet, as they're about to come up against Flash Wolves.
Absolutely, and Fireball, well, that last match against AHQ was definitely something. I mean, a full 5-map series, they almost reverse swept AHQ. I think they just, they kept it on the edge of the seat, I think. It was just something else.
It was, I mean, the other perspective of that is, wasn't a great send-off for AHQ if that's the last we see of them before.
Apudo's getting carried by Tita. I think that's the message we're being sent.
Yeah.
Big
I would say it's fair. Well, here's Flash Wolves.
A team we haven't seen for did we see them last week? We must have, but it seems like their games are getting a bit rarer. We are seeing them a decent amount this weekend, though.
The elusive Flash Wolf in the wild.
Yeah, exactly.
In its natural habitat, the Taiwan Esports Stadium.
I'll tell you what, when they come out to hunt, absolutely ferocious. This is a team that has gone 3-0 record-wise for maps since the 4th week.
So the thing that's interesting in here, right? I'll have some notes for the coach first before I get into that, actually.
Yeah, let's have a word from both sides and I'll translate it over.
他刚刚在台下说，雨什么时候才会停？他快疯了。来，教练。
When will it all be over? Says Rocket.
好了，就是没什么好讲的，就是
Don't have much to say.
因为 Fireball 有换阵容，那我们其实还没对过。
Fireball have changed the new member.
近期看比赛感觉
And we haven't played them yet.
实力有提升。
We feel like they are now a stronger team, so we'll be looking out for
他们
them.
刚打 AHQ 有点，你知道厉害。
Played AHQ and
所
strong.
以我刚刚说，就是我们不会掉以轻心。
So I was closely watching that match and I'll be preparing for that. There it is.
Well, yeah, there you have it. I think that's a deserved respect as well that they're giving Fireball there. So here's the thing. Flash Wolves, they're looking good. I don't know.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Now
they're looking good. But just to illustrate how good, because we recently got this right, their map record, not just their match record, their map record. So they only have 3 losses this whole tournament. Their map record, they have 10 map losses, which means 9 of those will be from the 3 losses they picked up, because you have to lose 3 maps to lose a series. So in every other single game they've played, in all of their 22 wins, they have only dropped 1 map. That is an insane statistic. And I hope it doesn't change before finals.
It might not even, who knows? Like, I mean, the Mighty Flash Wolves, they might go into the finals and it could just be more wins on the books, not really any map losses, and they're looking pretty unbeatable. And really, what's exciting about tonight is the last real team standing their way here is Hong Kong Attitude. Not to say Fireball not, because Fireball just had a fantastic showing against AHQ.
Yeah, Fireball could absolutely take a map here.
But unfortunately, Hong Kong Attitude beat AHQ twice.
Yes.
And so Hong Kong Attitude are on a roll here. They're in their rogues gallery. They're crossing off every single headshot of players and teams, and there's only one team left, and that's Flash Wolves.
And there's been an interesting sentiment expressed there because they also recently beat Blank. So they beat AHQ twice, once in the third round robin, then again in the final round robin, and also in that final round robin beat Blank. This is actually the last top 3 team that they haven't beaten, like you said. And the interesting thing about
just
that...
team in general, actually.
AHQ's feeling was they didn't prepare enough, right? Blank's feeling is they didn't prepare enough. But that's like 2 teams who across 3 games didn't prepare enough. I think it is fair to say Hong Kong Attitude look great right now.
Well, before we even get to Hong Kong Attitude, let's check out Fireball once more. You know them, Apudo, Inzanat, Tita V3, Kurlos, and Rocket, and I believe their last player is 9th.
And Flash Wolves consisting of Zonda, Bacon Jack, Jongi, K, Momo, Sinkler, and Realment, most improved player of the tournament, we're told. And Bacon Jack is apparently just the best player. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But here we go. Yeah, Rocket is also going to be coming out.
You're picking up 2 awards there. You got the most improved award and you also got the best player award, all on the same team.
I wonder if they're on like those like top 5 cutest player lists.
Everyone gets to wear the glasses.
Because I think that I figured it out. Those what's the fella's name?
Knight's
glasses.
Yeah.
So they're gonna travel all the way down the team until they get to him.
That'll be great.
That'll
be absolutely fantastic.
Who
Who wore it best? That's going to be something.
Who wore it
So all
best?
6 of them next to each other. Who wore it best?
And I bet if we're going to get to a Apudo and like he's going to already have a pair of glasses on or something.
He's
going to
put
these on
exactly.
top. Down the line. How does Apudo look at the glasses? He can't get them on. There we go. Oh, he looks
Very
wise.
convincing,
He looks
very
very
convincing.
wise. Like I could
Rap
ask
battle
him.
me.
I could ask him an academic question and he would answer it. Like, what is your opinion on
Genji
Tolkien's assessment of the Norman invasion?
And
there we go.
the person
man
that it
himself.
actually belongs to. I'd love it if he passed it on to his coach from here.
And then he just plays without glasses.
Actually, oh wow, he did.
He's actually not the last guy along. Because I don't know if that was an accident or not, but yeah, last guy is actually
boy.
Kurlos. So hopefully he does give his glasses.
So Kurlos is now going to give it to Flash Wolves, and they're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, just
you go, Realman.
someone runs across the stage. They start from Realman and go onwards, and then Flash Wolves just keep it for the tactical advantage. Ninth can't see. We took their diva out, boys.
Oh boy, that's one way to do it. Zonda's already got his own glasses on, so he's not going to need anything extra for that.
Yeah, absolutely no team
I
coordination.
want
here from
Zonda
Flash
to
Wolves.
tap the side of his face on the temple when he activates the tack visor as well. Do it in real life.
Singler's got glasses too.
Singler, one of the most impressive annas in the tournament. I think generally right now, the
Oh my
discussion
gosh,
is...
so many glasses here. Bacon Jack.
Yeah, did you know I have glasses? Did you
I've
know
not been aware of how many of these players wear
that?
glasses.
You just have not
actually.
paid attention.
No, I've not. Like, it's not something I notice day to day. Like, I don't think. Like, I know that you wear glasses, but I don't think like, yes, Kevin is one of the glasses wearers of the world. Like, I just don't think about it that way.
And there is...
Just half of this team needs glasses.
And Zhongyi as well is a player that actually one of the blank guys really said was fantastic. It was actually Serenity who noted that Zhongyi was his pick of one of the best players in the tournament. And I would agree with that. I think Flash Wolves, what's great about this team is they have on their team, I would say, some of the best players within their respective roles in the entire OPC. Bacon Jack on the Tracer, Zhongyi onto the Winston, maybe even Sinclair onto the Anna. He's kind of fighting. He's fighting against Gumba for that role as well. So
it's like the good thing about Flash Wolves is all of it. That is what this team feels like sometimes. You know, you've actually got like this just a great superstar roster. You've got great infrastructure. You've got good coaching. You've got it all there, and that is why they are currently strides ahead of the rest of the pack.
Fireball, they got Lijiang Tower. That's their pick of the evening from the home position.
They believe.
Absolutely, they believe. Now, the concerning thing for Fireball is if we're going to use their performance against AHQ as a sort of example of how this match might go, and believe me, Flash Wolves will be more difficult than AHQ. Fireball did not have a good time on their control, and they did not have a good time on their hybrid. And I believe it was actually Lijiang into King's Row that they've really struggled on.
Lijiang, King's Row, Anubis. That's the basic package. Like, and then everything beyond that, everything beyond that, you had to pay the premium.
Everything beyond that, you're just really hungry. You're really
it's like having coffee afterwards, and then you're like, you know what? I'll have an after dinner mint too. Why not? Freshen up the breath.
Right, so there it is. Control hybrid, assault, escort, hybrid. Again, Fireball get the map picks of 1, 3, and 5. Flash Wolves on the away side will get 2 and 4, and both teams will get the respective starting size of that they choose essentially, as well as the map pick.
Yeah, I want to pick defense first for control. Actually, I want to start in control of the point.
Now, let me take a look at your menu. I'll start with the Lijiang, and I'll have that on the left side.
Sorry, just give me a minute.
Does that one come with ketchup?
Honey, do you know what you want?
Hold the salt, thank you.
Please, yeah.
Hold the salty tears if you lose, because it's...
And how would Sir like his Numbani? Oh, medium rare, thanks.
Oh boy.
I really think we're going to King's Row here.
I think, no, we might actually be going there, but it's
well, it'll be Flash Wolves'
so what is interesting, something Ray noted, the coach of Flash Wolves, he said, we haven't played against the new Fireball, and that's correct, they haven't. Fireball debuted this new roster with Titawat instead of Zalfix at the start of this round robin. Since then, Flash Wolves have been sitting and waiting, and Fireball have not looked better, ever. This is their best result against AHQ and just sort of in general. So, I mean, Fireball are on a high, and this will be their biggest test.
Yeah, it actually will be. And, like, walking away getting 3-0'd, but with a good performance here is good news for them. That's the reality. And look, it's not going to be, like, Flash Wolves' toughest game or anything like that. Don't get us wrong. But, like, this is going to be the most challenging iteration of Fireball that Flash Wolves will ever play. And that's why I said at the top of this, I'm glad that they have noted that as well and are going to give this matchup, I feel, the respect it deserves.
Yes.
Because not respecting it, treating this like round robin 3 Fireball could burn them. It could leave them, you know, dropping maps here. It could leave them unintentionally and accidentally showing a weakness before playoffs for a team that currently looks infallible.
That would actually be quite exciting. I wouldn't mind that actually, because seeing Flash Wolves, or rather seeing Fireball be quite successful, and then Flash Wolves really being pushed to their limits would make for exciting Overwatch. So here we go, map 1. stage 1 of map 1, I should probably say.
Yeah, and that stage is going to be control center out of the gates. Both teams pretty stock standard setups. In fact, directly mirrored.
Yep. Pudo staying on his, I would say, signature Genji now. One of the best Genji in this tournament. The 1v1 with Zonda will be something I'm looking forward to.
Oh, that was a really great block actually by K-Momo. Nearly saved Jongi there, but not quite able to pull it off. And Jongi found himself a bit too deep up a tree without a ladder, as it were. And Fireball absolutely
nice
cleaning
kill.
up now. This is really great movement by them. They've totally split apart Flash Wolves, completely punished the position. And Flash Wolves didn't even do anything wrong there. It's just Fireball were all over them.
Welcome to the new Fireball, gentlemen. And I forgot to talk about Inzidana because he's been one of the most up-and-coming tracers. We thought Shailin might be the 3rd best tracer. Maybe Inzidana actually takes that spot off Shailin now, because so far, this duel, I want to see him how he deals with Bacon Jack. That's going to be important.
That absolutely will be probably the most significant part of his tracer play today.
He's hunting for it now.
Bacon Jack has already found Tita. So unfortunately, Inzidana a little bit behind the 8 ball on that one, as now the rest of the team taking a bit of hurting. But they're able to continue committing to the fight here. Flash Wolves do have them on the ropes a little bit. Good training down onto Rocket, and Fireball get a little bit caught in their retreat. Need to not lose too many members here. Good displaced by Ninth. Unfortunately, does not quite save Apudo or himself. And the cap has already gone back over to Flash Wolves. So this is now all just ult charge.
Absolutely well played by Flash Wolves. Fireball got a couple return trades there, but you saw from Inzidana's POV, he was chasing Bacon Jack a lot of the time. Bacon Jack ignored that, and he killed everyone else in Fireball instead. So for Flash Wolves, they were able to just snowball themselves ahead on those good trades.
Okay, Inzidana is going to come around the backside. Look for an opening with the Pulse Bomb. They need to time this with Ninth getting his mech back, though. And Flash Wolves know this. They're going on the aggressive here. Before Ninth has the mech back, he may just have to call it back for this fight anyway. Yeah, he has got back into it, and then is then going to lose it immediately. Fireball actually do answer back, so they have some legs in this fight. They may want to try and commit, but they're having a hard time topping off their tanks. They're probably done for anyway. Inzidana has continued to commit, and honestly, it's actually hurt them a little bit because now they've just extended this fight and they have just given more time over to Flash Wolves.
Absolutely, and Apudo decided to keep his Dragon Blade as well. He was really low for the majority of that. And actually, I thought if Bacon Jack, or rather if Apudo could get some health back, he maybe can go back in, and now is his opportunity.
Speaking
that 6v5, 1 kill into Bacon Jack is huge.
It really is. Straight onto the back line now. He's trying to get these Lucios and the like, and he does at last find K-Momo in that pilot form. The self-destruct finds nothing, and Fireball have cracked this one open. Good disciplined play, and actually a well-timed kill onto Bacon Jack, with the point nearly kept over already before that even broke out. That was very nicely done by Fireball.
And the great thing is, like, Apudo and Inzidana worked together well as a duo here, because while Apudo was going on to K-Momo, Inzidana got the kill onto both Sinclair and Realman onto the back line, so the Flash Wolves healing support line was entirely taken out.
Well, now let's see what Fireball can do with the rest of their abilities that they have to leverage. Apudo needs to keep his life here. He will be able to retreat to his team, but Tito is in a bit of trouble while this is happening, and that is good target selection to take him out of the picture. Good response by Ninth, but they need to knock Bacon Jack out of the picture. That's the one they need. Now they can open on up. Unfortunately, Inzidana wide on the Pulse Bomb, and Fireball don't have many resources, but if they can get shut down, it won't matter. Zonda, he's likely to be forced off to the side, but no, good dash onto the health pack, and now he can re-enter the fight with the Dragon Blade. He's very low, does get Rocket, but Apudo does trade it back, and the kills are still coming up. Fireball, that was the last ultimate Flash Wolves had to work with. It is now out of the picture, and Fireball have wiped the slate clean and evened up the score.
Yeah, absolutely. Sound Barrier is the only thing Flash Wolves have to return onto. They can survive, but what are they going to do for damage options? In fact, it got forced out. What happened there? Realman popped it a little bit too early.
That's a misclick. They weren't even regrouped. That is a terrible misclick as well. Now up to 80%. Flash Wolves actually have to win this fight, or they are just going to lose, and it is on a blank slate. This is where Fireball have looked good. Good dive in already. Ooh, alrighty.
The technical difficulties there.
Here we go. Okay, there we go. They've actually managed to get the good kills through. Bacon Jack was sort of wrapping around the side as that dive from Tita was coming in, so good response there by Flash Wolves. They will be able to get themselves onto this point, but Fireball, they've got it up to 99%. They can just take one fight win and close it out.
98%,
that is so good.
That is the best place that you wanted to finish on. That is picture perfect.
Yeah.
They could not hope for anything better than that. Fireball will now come back in. They win one fight, they'll get it.
Yeah, so the reason this is so great is when it goes to 99%, when you cap back, overtime happens no matter what. If you're on 98%, when it ticks up to 100, if Flash Wolves aren't on the point, they won't get overtime. If you get a team wipe, you will just win. You don't have to stall in overtime. Here's the commit now with the Transcendence out. Good open by Apudo. What can they get? Yeah, there it goes. Transcendence out is going to save Jongi, and it is a crucial save as well. Ends in an wide in the Pulse Bomb. All they've really got so far is K-Momo's mech, and they're running out of mileage in this fight. Tita needs to ult, and a great quarter trap knocks Kurlos out of the picture. The trade backs are there, though. Ends in an is running rampant. Zonda's the only DPS left for Flash Wolves. And honestly, Fireball are trying to get on top of him. They are having a hard time of it, finally get the close out. But NZNR, he's about to go down here if he's not careful. Close out from Jongi, and now Apudo needs to try and rejoin this fight. It is going to be a hard ask because Jongi is there on the lockdown.
It's all on Apudo.
Tiniwat is down, and it is all on Apudo with no Dragon Blade. What is he even going to be able to get? He can at least stall, and maybe just needs to do that so that the team can regroup. They've got some members coming out the gate. A good sound barrier now for Flash Wolves, but it is looking dicey for Fireball. Apudo going down there. Good headshots by Sinclair, and it's looking like it's going to come up Flash Wolves now with Zonda committing the Dragon Blade off the back end. We'll scoop up NZNR as well. No more contests will come out, but 99 to 99, this is what the new Fireball looks like.
It's not all over just yet. There's a couple of kills just coming out of the back end, but you're absolutely right. 99 to, I would actually say it was 98, which I prefer 98 to 99 anyway, so that's a win in my books. 98. Big fan of the number 98, so there it is. Take that one for your uniform if you can. Well played. Jeez, wow, Fireball, really?
98, get it on a big monthly check.
Cash it, commit to it. There it is.
Tattoo like 98 on your knuckles.
Crusher 98, he's the better player.
Crusher, yeah.
Everyone knows 98's better. But I want to talk about Fireball because that last fight, that was the swing fight. They had the double defensive ultimate, they had Sound Barrier, they had Transcendence, they forced out Sinclair's Transcendence, cool. They also used their own Transcendence roughly around the same time. They forced the other one out as a response, then Rocket to the Sound Barrier. That should have been the ultimate to keep Fireball into the game. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get kills during either defensive ultimates, and that's what really cost them. Now they get their second chance, but they've got to make it count.
Yeah, and honestly, it was just... They just didn't quite execute. They fell a little bit short of the mark.
We have not seen Zonda Farah for a long time.
It was very slim. Yeah, we haven't seen Zonda Farah for a long time. This is a bit of a treat. So, Fireball have actually reacted to it very well. It is going to be now on Bacon Jack to actually break into this point that Fireball kind of have control of, but Apudo nearly down is how you break into it. But they're able to get him back alive. The protection is there. Bacon Jack is finding it hard to find his way in. Ooh, NZNR has to use that blink to get out of this one. That's the kill they needed, and now Flash Wolves can get aggressive on the point itself as they train down T2Watt as well. They were able to find the crack in the armor by running K-Momo around the side of all people, and they are going to be able to get themselves set up on this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Fireball, they tried to hold on to there, but they couldn't really pick up anything in response. They sort of got themselves onto the point and away from Zonda. That's a good start, but you really got to be able to do something inside that small space as well.
Yes.
They couldn't convert any kills. They couldn't really get anything done there. And pretty soon, you're going to be playing into Res. You're going to be playing into a lot of the Flash Wolves ultimate coming online.
Exactly, and that's the thing.
Apudo switched.
Yeah, they were protecting themselves against Bacon Jack, but you need to do a little bit more than that. You need to actually kill the guy. But yeah, Apudo switch. I do like the switch, and it is at a good enough time. I mean, they are just going to have to absorb Flash Wolf ultimates, even if he had stayed on the Genji. So this isn't poorly timed, but already off to a good start. Realman's out of the picture. Sinclair doesn't have the res just yet, and they get res. Oh, they get out of the picture. That is so massive. Zonda does get a good answer back with the rocket barrage, but he gets traded. And Apudo, he's still alive in this one. Bacon Jack can shut him out though. It is going to be a tough ask. He's trying to deal with K-Momo. I don't think Fireball can actually get onto this one, but they have had that fight where they absorbed most of Flash Wolf's ultimates.
And you want to be able to, yeah, that's something that's pretty good about that. They got all the ultimates out. They actually save a decent amount. They actually save a couple ultimates, but they will be 100% playing to the res. They counted out on the res because they killed them. Well, the single reses,
that's a very hard commit tempo res. Unfortunately, NZNR takes a dive. Good sound barrier saves K-Momo, and Rocket gets picked off. So, look, the tempo res actually paid off. Not sure what happened to NZNR there because, unfortunately, that kind of swung the fight. They actually had a window to collapse onto K-Momo after the res came through with a numbers advantage, but c'est la vie. Flash Wolves hold.
And what was great about the res is they got the sound barrier out of that and they knew that they needed the ultimate. Well, at least they res specifically to get that extra ultimate back into the fight, which is important for Flash Wolves. Now holding on 72% Fireball, still looking for an opening in here. They spend ultimates, they try different things and pushes. Apudo still onto the soldier, trying to shut down both Zonda and Sinclair. And a couple times he's done that, but they're still losing too many members to actually take the point.
And that fight was only a slight failure to execute, but that's how tight the margins are against Flash Wolves, right? That slight failure, that one mistake with NZNR going down, that's cost them the fight there. So now let's see if they can give it to this one. The self-destruct gives them good space, but Ninth gets picked into pilot form by Zonda. Rez is nearly available. There we go, shutting down Singler. That's crucial. Zonda does get topped off though.
Needs to live.
Yeah, he does need to live, but he gets picked off. Bacon Jack is taking a dive though. Unfortunately, picking off Kurlos here is going to make it challenging for Fireball. NZNR here, though he is doing the legwork even as Apudo is down, and picks off Zonda, who has been forced to commit to the point. He knows that that's dangerous. Oh, and that's the rocket barrage. He used it, and it had just started channeling. This is now Fireball's opportunity to close out, get back on this point. Jongi, stalls long enough for the res, and that could be all she wrote for this one. Nenzidana gets trained down. Jongi keeps the point on lockdown just long enough for Sigler to rejoin the fight, and that is going to be all it takes for Flash Wolves to put it back in their favor. And like I said, that is how tight the margins are against this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I did like a couple of the adaptations coming up from Fireball. What the Soldier really allowed them to do is, it does counter out the Soldier. Sorry, it does counter out the Pharah on the other side, does counter out the Mercy. The other thing it allows you to do is actually play in the open space, because that's something they didn't have before. Playing the Genji Tracer, they have to play in the enclosed space. They don't have options against Zonda. They don't have options against Sinclair, at least not very good ones. Because they have the Soldier, suddenly you want to play in the open space, and you got the sight lines with Apudo on the Soldier. The problem there was they were so far behind on progress, playing on the outside of the cap, they're not threatening the cap enough.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, they responded to the Pharah well in the first instance, but unfortunately weren't able to commit to that fight. And then it was basically just a case of there were 3 major fights in that game, and in each and every one of them, for one reason or another, Fireball just weren't quite able to commit.
A couple of good moments there for Flash Wolves as well. Jongi able to stall out enough time for Sinclair to come in with the Res. Inzidana shutting down Zonda's Rocket Barrage. A couple of good moments from both teams, but more consistent for Flash Wolves. Fireball, they're looking for their last opportunity, essentially.
Yeah, and a really good open onto Sinclair. Inzidana not quite able to commit for the closeout there, but Fireball are actually well set up on this point. It is going to be on Flash Wolves to commit. And look at Apudo's positioning on the side. It's making it hard for Flash Wolves to actually dive onto the team itself. But now Zonda taking advantage of that good catch onto Zongi as they collapse in around the tanks that are diving. Let's see how well they can close out further. They need to route out Zonda, but they're not quite closing him off. They do get the cap through, but Flash Wolves still have an opportunity to commit to this fight if they want, as T2Watt has not yet rejoined the team. Jongi will rejoin Flash Wolves first. Flash Wolves are, there we go, committing now. See what they can get as they close into the Yeah, this is off to a good start already, but Apudo can get back into this one. Nearly has a Dragon Blade. Good target selection by Bacon Jack, has him out of the picture, and that should swing it back for Flash Wolves.
Nice kill return from Kurlos as well, but it's not going to be enough. Fireball losing Inzidana early, then losing Apudo straight after that. Both DPSs down. No chance actually returning there. Kurlos, he got away, but actually ends up dying anyway. He didn't actually run back to the base, so Fireball kind of lost. That's pretty much close to a team wipe, if not a full team wipe.
That was a very good reaction by Fireball in the first fight as well. They did at least get 24%, but yeah, weren't quite able to get the ultimates up in time for that second one.
I actually think as soon as they lost T2Watt, they kind of just hung out on the point. What they should have done is maybe go aggressive there, try and get a counter trade onto Flash Wolves, or consider that Flash Wolves will eventually return, because you're definitely playing on a player disadvantage. Now they get a player advantage instead. They got ultimates as well. They should play this one very quickly.
And Anzidana has forced K-Momo onto the point. This is the big commit out of Fireball. Double support ults, yeah, because they know that they've got K-Momo isolated. Sinclair was dead. Bacon Jack was dead, so this DPS just isn't there. They could get the cap off it, and that's all you've got to play for here. That was actually very smart, and now Flash Wolves have to commit resources if they want to take this fight.
It was a little panicky because you don't want to overlay both the support ultimates at the same time, so they kind of lose access to that now as Flash Wolves come in with their own sound barrier, and they get the clean up. Only Rocket gets the counter trade. That's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, and Apudo already dead means no Dragon Blade. Good bump onto Zonda, actually. Don't need to call him Sombra. Ends it out, the response kill, and actually, Apudo might be able to rejoin this fight. Actually, it would be a little bit dicey. Yeah, it's not worth it anymore. But I mean, honestly, if Apudo hadn't died, I could see Fireball winning that easily, given how close that ended up coming in the end.
And that's the thing, you just said it. If only Apudo didn't die. And Flash Wolves are doing a great job of shutting down both DPSs when the time arises. Apudo's still waiting to use the Dragon Blade. He's had the Dragon Blade for actually a while now, so he's got to find the right moment.
Yeah, and they are struggling to find that, and now actually Flash Wolves do just have a few more ultimates. Good stalling tools, now Zonda with this tac visor as well. It's going to be hard to fight through without those support ultimates, but to their credit, Flash Wolves don't have them either. Fireball actually snuck the cap out during that, so now Zonda has to commit. Kurlos already down and out of the picture though. That is the price of getting that sneaky cap through. Self-destruct, forces the positioning, and the tac visor was there to clean up anyone off to the side. The kills all come through, so as much as they got a sneaky cap through, got a little bit of extra time on it itself, Fireball are going to lose the fight.
So the thing for Fireball is, yeah, they're getting time, and the time is going to allow them to get extra fights. Unfortunately, all of these extra fights they're getting, they're actually losing these fights. Eventually, Flash Wolves will be able to pull ahead. They'll get the ultimate advantage. They get the superior positioning. Flash Wolves on the back foot here. They have to actually come in, use that Dragon Blade from Apudo, get some results out of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely not wrong. Unfortunately, though, you referred to the teams the wrong way round, but you're completely right. Yeah. Fireball are the ones who have been losing the fight.
Flashball.
Yeah, Flashball and Firewalls. But yeah, you're right. Apudo needs to get mileage out of this Dragon Blade, but already Flashball's doing a good job of stopping this positioning before it kind of comes to a loggerhead. Use an ultimate out of Jongi for that, but they buy themselves a ton of time. There's only enough time for one fight. Ninth is going to have to take a dive here as well. That is so great, popping that mech.
Fireball still holding on to so many ultimates. I feel like they haven't got a single good fight that they want to be able to commit things. Aputo's had this ultimate since about, 3 or 4 fights ago now. Flash Wolves are still using it, and now they're committing again. Aputo finally commits himself, but straight into Transcendence.
And Singler commits his own. Bacon Jack had hid to try and get a good pulse bomb out. He didn't quite get too much out of it, and Kurlos trades it back. So that could now cost Flash Wolves as they pick K-Momo, and they still had enough. Sure, the Dragon Blade hadn't been used yet, but that wasn't the only ultimate they had, my friend, and sure, the Transcendence countered that, but it could not counter the rest of the DPS. Quick fight win by Fireball at a must-win moment.
And they're still holding on. They're just so close to getting towards the 90% mark. Flash Wolves, they got no more fights they can possibly lose. They're actually on a bit of a tricky situation themselves. Final fight for both teams. This is going to be a really tight, big sound barrier to go into.
Yeah, very early commit, and there are no defensive tools from Fireball. This is no alarms and no surprises. Good blocking by Titawat to try and keep Aputo alive, but the rest of the good bump actually, but the rest of the team isn't really in the picture. NZNR is dead. Aputo has been forced out. There aren't any healers nearby to top him off. He is cut off from Kurlos here. Able to get to a pack. Now they need to get in and regroup. Kurlos has had to commit to the point to force overtime, and Fireball trickling in. They aren't able to get further kills down, and Aputo already out of the picture. Good stall by Ninth, but this one is going to go the way of Flash Wolves by the looks of things, unless something absolutely nuts comes out of NZNR. He's already forced off to the side here.
Flash Wolves still got ults.
Yeah, they do still have ults, and that is going to be that for the fight as soon as the last members of Fireball disappear from the point. But that was very do or die for Flash Wolves.
At least Fireball pushed him. I think that's a really good takeaway for Fireball, because throughout this entire series, I feel like Flash Wolves had to really work for it. Fireball did not really let up. Even right at the end there, it was a little bit unfortunate for Fireball because NZNR died early, unfortunately. Aputo came in, but he was on such low health, he might as well have actually died because he was searching for health packs, couldn't get healed from his teammates, and when he finally came back in, just died immediately anyway. So really tricky situation from them. The best map was Control Center because that's when Fireball had their best shot at winning. That's when you actually look at the Fireball squad and you think, probably could have won that 98%, needs to win one fight. Had advantage in that fight, unfortunately dropped it. Now, when you look at night markets, it's a little bit of a different story. Garden was definitely more, I would say, sided towards Flash Wolves in a big way. Night market was a lot closer than that, but unfortunately still, you see the bad thing for Fireball is, unfortunately, they were able to, they just held on to a number of ultimates for way too long, couldn't find the right moments to use them, couldn't find the right fight to commit. And they got a couple sneaky cap backs, and that's what really kept them in. They flipped the cap a number of times, but if it wasn't for that, they would have, I think they would have just gone out.
Yeah, I will give them a bit of credit with that. I think what was happening is they were at least recognizing that that was the case. So they were extending it. They were giving themselves some longevity in that game. And the thing we have to appreciate here as well is Fireball did just put Flash Wolves twice in situations where it was, like I said, do or die. Flash Wolves had a must-win fight in Control Center. They did win it because Flash Wolves were a great team. Same thing on Night Market. Had to win it. They did because they're a great team. That's not the surprising part. The surprising part is that Fireball put them in that position because actually the last team to put them in that position was Blank. And no other team has really done it for a long while. Even AHQ didn't do it.
No.
I mean, that's a huge takeaway here for Fireball, in all honesty. It doesn't mean that Flash Wolves, I don't feel that it really came close to losing, to be completely frank with you. Even if Fireball could have maybe taken a map in some of those situations. But that was very well played by Fireball. Better than what a lot of teams have done. And I think that should just speak for itself.
That's a good showing because something we noticed is in the AHQ games, like Fireball struggled against AHQ on Control. They didn't really look like they struggled here. The scoreline says 3-0. But of the 3 in series, you had a 98 to 100, you had a 99 to 100 as well. And in the middle, their Gardens was a lot more one side for Flash Wolves. But other than that, I mean, Fireball, this has been
They had a lot of good fights.
They had a fantastic showing here, just as you said.
Exactly. They were actually trading blow for blow with Flash Wolves for a lot. Like they were matching them. It wasn't like, you know, they were winning against a heavyweight through some kind of nimble trickery. It was they were matching them blow for blow, fair and square. Firewalls. What? Flash Wolves. Firewall. I don't even know. Flash Wolves punches were harder. They hit harder and it got the knockout, and that is the difference. That's been the only difference so far with Flash Wolves. They have always just had the harder punch. They've always just been the better boxer. But Fireball really went toe-to-toe. And I don't think we were, I don't want to say we weren't expecting that, but previously they weren't. This is the new Fireball. This is what it looks like. It is a good team, and it is a team that is really going to shake things up in Season 2.
A very competitive looking Fireball. Now we're going to check out a replay. This one's from NZNR onto Control Center. This was right at the top. This was the first fight that Fireball actually won. I believe Jongi died very early.
Yeah, so check this out, right? What it actually does is they get good damage onto Jongi. They also forced K-Momo forward, but because of NZNR's early positioning, K-Momo had already started using the defense matrix, which meant there was a brief window where it was down while Zhongyi was diving, and that was the window in which Zhongyi died. Then K-Momo found himself too deep because he was trying to save Zhongyi from a situation where he couldn't be saved. Fireball forced Flash Wolves into this position. Flash Wolves totally misfired. Fireball totally executed adequately, and that is exactly why they won. It was just well played.
And I'm interested to see where Bacon Jack was in the middle of that as well. In fact, they had Zonda playing Genji, if I'm not mistaken, so they're playing this very heavy dive composition. Zhongyi went in. I don't believe we really saw in the replay the positioning of Bacon Jack and Zonda, and you kind of got to question what they were targeting, because Zhongyi was kind of, he really put himself into a corner. As you said, K-Momo had to go there and save him, and suddenly both your tanks are caught out.
Yeah, and that's where we often see dive fail the most. We see it most starkly when it's triple DPS specifically, because when that one tank dies, your entire backline is squishy. But the same is true if you're running 2-2-2 dive and both of your tanks die, right? The remainder is squishy. So if the tanks end up in that sort of situation, yeah, no surprise that Fireball won that fight.
Well focused as well. I mean, Kurlos got the Discord orb onto Zhongyi very early. Incident turned around, so he could have chosen to continue fighting the backline. He turned around, went onto Zhongyi and said, now let's take a look at night markets.
Yeah.
This was one of the fights, I suppose, in the middle.
Yeah, so what this one was, this was where Flash Wolves started to kind of kick back a significant amount.
Oh, this is when the double support ultimates came out.
And what that did is it allowed Fireball to get on the point itself, which is what we see here. But they didn't really shut down Flash Wolves in so doing. So Flash Wolves were able to recommit with those defensive ultimates not there. And that's why we call them defensive ultimates, because they're good when you have the point and the other team has to attack you. You maybe want to use one to get there and another to hold it. So committing both was what hurt Fireball here. And again, much like the previous situation, it's no surprise that based on that, Flash Wolves were able to execute and win the fight.
Yeah, definitely hit the panic button there, so overlapping both support ultimates. You can even just use them one after the other, but overlapping them.
That's maximization, really.
That's when you're really getting into a lot of trouble. And what well punished by Flash Wolves, because they came in with a sound barrier of their own, and it was a very effective one. Apura probably maybe, he had the Dragon Blade still, he would have ended up committing into the sound barrier, which may be wise to hold it on there, but it really means Fireball, they don't have any options. Apura can't Dragon Blade, you already don't have the damage there to be able to really take out a sound barrier at force, and Flash Wolves just went in there and cleaned up.
And what happened as well is actually Flash Wolves read that situation. The moment they saw what Fireball had done, they went, there is now going to be an opportunity for us to attack them. So let's scatter, let's not lose any members here while they are committing, and then let's take the fight quickly before they can get any extra ultimates up. And that's exactly what they did. So it's also a very well-read situation. It's not just, you know, Fireball put themselves at a detriment and therefore Flash Wolves won. It's Flash Wolves also recognized that that was what was about to happen, that Fireball would be at a detriment and capitalize, because a lot of teams don't.
The good news for Fireball is that was one of the key moments for them to actually recap the point. So we talk about on night markets, they flipped over the cap a number of times. That was one of those moments, and the flip overs was what really pushed them to get the 99% themselves, because like I said, without getting the couple flip overs in the middle, that might have been more like a 99, 100 to 30 kind of match, or 100 to 40, 100 to 50 maybe.
That's the thing, they gave themselves a lot of time, they gave themselves more runway. They weren't able to get the plane off the ground, but that's not too surprising. And we are surprised at the amount of runway they were to give. It's a good showing. Eichenwalde, though, this is a bit of a fresh one.
Actually, Flash Wolves are very good at defending Eichenwalde. One of their, I would say, signature first cap defenses is they are one of the few teams that really will go for the Orisa Torbjorn. That's coming out a lot more often now, but a lot of teams, it's more like, you see it when Blank played versus Sun Sister, and it's not their normal defensive strategy. Now, when you watch Flash Wolves on Eichenwalde, it's a lot more convincing. It does feel like it's something they usually do.
Now, last time we actually saw Fireball here, they really struggled to get the attack going around the streets phase of Eichenwalde.
Yeah, that's when they're weakest.
It absolutely is, and it seemed that they were just not quite able to commit to diving the high ground properly. They didn't play the dive on the high ground adequately, nor did they play for the cart. They just sort of half committed to both and fell completely short of the mark.
Yeah.
But that was old Fireball, and that was a long time ago. It may have actually been against Flash Wolves, but in any case, I absolutely, by the way, I love this music. I absolutely expect them to have a better showing here. And I expect that they would have watched that, gone, well, this is where it went wrong. Let's just not do that if we end up there next time. They would have practiced for it. And I'm really excited to see what new Fireball does on Eichenwalde.
And it is a very specific map pick for Flash Wolves as well. And what it really says to me is they have something prepared for this. Maybe it's the Orisa Torbjorn, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's because they watch Fireball and they say, actually, you know what, Fireball make a lot of mistakes on this map, mistakes that we can exploit as a team. So you don't normally pick Eichenwalde. I think that's a very fair thing to say. You're more likely to pick Hollywood if you're going to break out.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. And funnily enough, Fireball were actually one of the teams, at least earlier in the tournament, that were picking Eichenwalde sometimes. Not a lot, but they certainly were. They were also one of the only teams picking Ilios right at the start. They did have a bit of a reputation early in this tournament as the team that will take you to offbeat maps. So I think it's quite interesting that Flash Wolves are taking them here, but I mean, I don't think it's as significant as if they had done it in like the second round robin when Fireball were opting towards this map more often, because lately we have seen Fireball more or less going for King's Row and the like.
And there it is, Zhongyi onto the Orisa, and we've seen Realman on the Torbjorn as well. So, you know, it's pretty much expected here. The biggest thing to take away is they don't have one of the standard tanks. They're running D.Va and Sombra together. So there's a lot of shielding in the terms of getting the turret safe, but then also the Matrix on top of that as well. So they're really looking to just fortify this one position.
Yeah, D.Va and Orisa, just to correct you there.
Because the other thing is, yeah, D.Va and Orisa, because the other thing is usually you would run actually Orisa and Reinhardt at the same time. So this is the other variation.
And I do kind of like this because I think it's built to shut down Engineer a little bit more, and already the good catch onto Rocket as Fireball was sort of setting themselves up. They are on the point though, so Flash Wolves will to commit this lest the third go over, but they've got the high ground. It is hard for Fireball to commit to this, so they do just back off.
Especially you're losing 2 members quite early. You lose your main tank is probably the biggest thing. As soon as your main tank goes down, you're not getting a lot done there. Getting 3 kills, in fact, that was 4 kills. Fireball lost a lot.
While they were trying to retreat.
They could have probably, that's the other thing. They almost retreated with most of their members alive. See T-Dwalt going down, cool, let's retreat, then you lost a second member. And suddenly, you drop 4 members of your team.
Yeah, big swaps, big swaps. Luckily for them, Flash Wolves don't have any ultimates just yet, but they are extremely close, especially to Mark 4. That's about to come up.
They might benefit from taking a page out of Detonator's book and just play a May here.
Yeah, actually, I can fully see the argument here. I wonder how they're going to be able to pull this off. I think Aputo can do a May, but here we go. Baconjack is trying to get a bit sneaky around the side here. It's been spotted out, though, so it will be responded to. He just kind of has to retreat. I like what Flashball, I keep doing it. What Fireball are trying to do to counter this one out
I like Firewall.
Fireball, yeah, that was fresh. Oh, good sticky onto T-1. I didn't actually think it had stuck just yet, but they committed Nano Boost, why not? And it works. They run them down. Kurlos knows that the team is done for. They have to take a dive. No extra kills just yet for Bacon Jack. And Fireball, they do at least draw out the ultimates that were there for Flash Wolves.
Yeah, but they get another. They lose another push, and we're already half of the time is gone. 2 minutes remaining. 2 minutes have expired now. And Fireball looking for options, and the problem here is, yeah, you got the ultimates out of Flash Wolves, but realistically, you don't have the ultimates on your side yet. The first one just came up for your team. The first ultimate of the whole game for Fireball.
And Enzinara's not quite landing these hooks. He's just going to go on this little side quest to catch a Torbjorn who's flanking. I'm not even sure what the plan is there, but they do actually have an opportunity here. K-Momo forced to self-destruct. They catch Realman's turret, catch Zhongyi as well. No one did just yet. Oh, now they start to come on up. Too many members, too low, and catching the healers first meant Enzinar was as good as done for. They don't quite convert any further kills. Sticky now into T-Watt again. Dudes have a NAM flashbacks.
So quick.
So quick indeed. And even more time run down now. Only a minute 20 remaining for Fireball.
Gets 1 pulse bomb every single fight, sticks it onto T-Watt every single fight as well. Like I said, Fireball, they're getting some ultimates out of Flash Wolves. They're getting a little bit of progress. They actually got a third out of that, which is very impressive. Now they can sort of work with a little bit of momentum built up for themselves, but they do lose all the ultimates, which is a little bit difficult to work with now.
And they're going to be fighting through a nano visor, unfortunately, and a
supercharger on that as well. It's going to be hard.
Core as well. So yeah,
a lot of damage.
That is really tough. Oh dear, Aputo picked by Zonda. This is already bad news. Look at this. They were able to just draw Kurlos out. He's forced off to the side to try and sleep Bacon Jack. While he's doing that, T-Watt died. He even committed an Earth Shatter and still died. They're just splitting Fireball up every time they're trying to set up, and it's like Fireball are just going for all of the bait that Flash Wolves are dangling in front of them. No ultimates used, and an almost full party wipe.
That was the worst commit out of Fireball so far, unfortunately, and at a pretty poor time as well. Now with only 30 seconds left to go, they lose the Earth Shatter, like you said, and before, they're trading ultimates at least 1 for 1. This time they traded 1 ultimate for absolutely nothing. Flash Wolves hold on to so much, and if they commit everything now, I don't see Fireball putting through.
All right, Visor is out. They have to try and shut it down.
Aggressive.
But T-Watt is dead because he turned tail and ran, left himself totally exposed to Zhongyi, who has put the bongo drum down. This is absolutely unsurprising. They do finally commit in with the one thing they had, the self-destruct. It does not get them anywhere near enough space. Flash Wolves first hold on the first point, and 2 sloppy commits from Fireball run down the remaining 2 minutes.
And this is exactly why Flash Wolves pick Eichenwalde. Like I said, one of the few teams that really commit to this Torbjorn Orisa strategy, one of the few teams to execute it well as well. So the best push Fireball had was Apuda killed the turret early, forced a replacement turret from Realman onto the side, which Enzen and I kind of just killed it anyway. So that was a good push. They couldn't secure enough kills out of that. In fact, it came down to Bacon Jack getting another stick onto T-Watt, really snowballing the fight back in Flash Wolves' favor. They even killed Jongi in the middle of that fight. You got both the turret and you got the main tank out of the way. They couldn't penetrate the back line.
And here's the thing. It looked like everything took Fireball by surprise. Like, they just committed too early. Like, they didn't go, all right, let's figure out where Bacon Jack is so that we can deal with that, or at the very least commit knowing where he is. It would be like T-Watt was in, and the tanks had started following up, and then Kurlos would be like, oh, guys, Bacon Jack's here. And then either T-Watt would have had to try and pull out, leave himself exposed, and probably die, or what was happening more often, Kurlos had to go and try and sleep Bacon Jack, couldn't even heal his team. We had that again on the last one. T-Watt was already in, and then suddenly they're like, oh, but Zonda's like in the middle of our team. He's not even up on that parapet. And it's like everything just took them by surprise.
Here's the thing I think Fireball should have really looked into. I said maybe the May is the option here. There's actually another option. The May would have been good because it allows you to block off the turret. It allows you to access the top. Maybe play a full dive on top of that as well. Have Apuda onto something like the Genji and access Zonda on the high ground as well as T-Watt following up with you. So that's an option for them. Otherwise, you know, the real way you beat this composition and the positioning out of Flash Wolves is you have to be able to surround the turret. The Orisa barrier doesn't do anything if you're actually on the other side of that turret. So that's actually how you play it.
If you are on that high ground, you see where Apuda is standing now, if that was where Zonda was a lot of the time, and if you contest that, the turret can't shoot up and behind and through a building.
Now this is actually smart from Sinclair because they know they only have to take 1 cap. In fact, they don't even have to take the whole cap. They just have to take, what is that, 49-ish kind of percent there. So if you get one good EMP, you've just won.
And they've got the Reaper, they've got the Tank Buster, they've got a Res, they're just playing for tempo and tank busting. They've, I don't know, maybe this is an accident, but this is perfect picks. Good catch by Apuda, though, to start this one out as they've cracked K-Momo's mech as well. So they are not going to quite get it on this push Flash Wolves, but all they're really looking to do is get a great EMP and get that little bit of progress they need to win.
Yeah, that's the thing here. For Fireball, it's about getting past the EMPs. A, they got to get the ultimates for themselves, but they have to make sure they're resilient to the EMP. Make sure you can get your ultimates out that you need before EMP comes out, and make sure that your key members are not affected by EMP. That way, Fireball can still win.
Oh, that's a good one there to catch Zonda off that.
These always help as well.
Killing Sinclair is a great way to stop up the EMP because now this is an entire third of the time Flash Wolves have had not having this EMP push up to push.
I don't know
if the whole hog is necessary. It does catch Jongi.
Unnecessary, like you said.
Very unnecessary, actually.
You need to be playing economically here if you're Fireball. You know you will eventually play into Res, which is coming up. You know you'll eventually play into the EMP as well. You've got to make sure you have the correct tools to deal with this. And with Apuda
this
down,
is an opening.
This is a really bad place for Fireball to be.
The EMP is nearly there, actually. Flash Wolves can even commit now, knowing that they can raise Sinclair back up and have the EMP. Now here they go for the commit. Zonda already looking to get into the backside. And oh, wow, and a catch onto NZNR as well. Apuda hasn't even rejoined the fight. Pause comes through. That is spooky.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, just an alien.
It was a little bit surprisingly slow from Flash Wolves actually because they killed Apuda and now they've actually given Apuda a little bit of run back time. I don't know if it's going to be enough because he does have to sprint from rather far away, but he does have sprint as well, so that's something to consider. The problem is, what you really lack is you lack Apudo's damage during that entire engage. You also see how easy it is for Flash Wolves to actually open up that back line. They just sort of walk through that bottom door.
Yeah.
Something that Fireball couldn't do. You had a turret in the way, you had a Orisa barrier in the way, and of course Orisa herself was also blocking that door. So I mean, for Flash Wolves though, just not the case, you just walk in.
And the truth is as well, I mean, the comp was kind of counted already for Fireball, and it's a little unfortunate. I mean, even without having the Mercy and the Widowmaker in there, which was also, you know, if it was going to be a little bit more of a 2-2-2, they could have just opened it up with a pick. I think that was what the plan was with that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, right, Reaper is already solid against tanks as it is. EMP really shuts down tanks hard. It just turns them into big walking health bars, and it makes it even easier for Reaper to actually get those kills through. Like, just between those two picks, honestly, Fireball already had a hard ask about it, right? They had to shut down the Sombra every single fight that has already failed, and I feel like we just had that like to be continued thing come up.
Absolutely. If you're wondering what's going on at the moment, we do have a couple of technical delays, technical problems with some of the players at the E Stadium itself. So while we're waiting for that, I do want to speak to the fact that Flash Wolves are playing their objective quite well. Like I said, they know they only have to get 49%. They built a composition specifically to say, this is what we're going to do to win one fight and get that 49% in one go. And they're very committed to getting that composition done once. So a mistake that we have seen from a lot of teams so far is when you run something with a very clear win condition, you're very tunnel vision on that win condition.
Yeah.
So what I want to see here is, can Flash Wolves really look horizontally to where else they can win? And it's starting to look like they can, because they get the kill onto a Pudo and they're moving in on that, and they don't even have the EMP yet.
Yeah.
They don't even have the Death Blossom yet. All they got is a res, and they're saying, maybe this is enough. So this is also Flash Wolves identifying other ways to win.
Yes. And the interesting thing here is the other thing that they're doing is, like you said, they only need to cap 49%. They're actually playing the game they are in.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds really obvious, but that is still something a
lot of teams don't.
Yeah, they kind of struggle at that. Like, you know, if you only have to cap a third, a lot of teams still play as though you have to cap out altogether. You can opt to play it differently, and the reason you can do that is, if they had to actually cap out a whole thing, they could get a pick on a Pudo. Fireball could just, you know, get damage in, pull back a little bit off the point, and then have a Pudo rejoin them and go in, retake the fight with no numerical disadvantage. But because there is only 49% that needs to be capped, they can't abandon the point at all. And that is what that Widowmaker is there for as well. If this was, you know, any other kind of comp, the Widowmaker can get that one pick. And then Fireball, at a numbers disadvantage, cannot afford to give up the point. So this is an extremely smart team comp that can only exist because they don't have to cap it altogether.
Playing to your circumstances.
Playing to your circumstances. And how often do we see it? You know, we see it, you know, when teams get first held and they only have to cap out a 1/3. We see it in Time Bank a whole lot. Teams consistently fail to play to Time Bank.
Yeah.
And it's less obvious when it's just capping out a third, because if you can cap out the whole thing anyway, of course you can cap out a third, goes without saying. But this says that Flash Wolves will read situations they're in, and that will apply to Time Bank if they find themselves there. That is not something other teams have done yet.
And this is something that's kind of unique, I would say, towards that top 3 Echelon teams on the scoreboard anyway. And Hong Kong Attitude is trying to get there as well. We've actually gone back to the game, so I'll speak to that a little later. Nanoboost committed onto 9th.
And already this fight is pretty much over. Great time to come back. But in any case, right, it's exactly what I was talking about. Fireball, they'd lost to Pudo. They couldn't actually cede any ground there because Flash Wolves only had to get a certain amount. They did commit the EMP as well to turn those tanks into big walking health bars. And that was exactly what we expected out of that team comp from Flash Wolves.
Well, since the game is over, I will continue with what I was saying, which is
not?
essentially the top 3 Echelon teams do show this level of adaptation to play the situations they are given. So when we look at AHQ, the classic example is that we go back to Hanamura. They had a situation which was they needed to cap only 1/3 of the second cap to win it, and they went to cap number A. They got it to 2/3, and then their next push, they got the final third out of the first cap, ran to the second and got the first third out of that and won before the enemy team even respawned.
Yeah.
So played that situation extremely well. Knew, look, this is all we need to do to win here. We're just going to do that. Blank traditionally has been the best team at playing, one of the best teams at playing Time Bank.
Yeah.
They play Time Bank like it's Time Bank.
Exactly.
They know exactly how much time do we have here, how much time do we got to work with, how much time do the other team have to work with, what do we need to do during this Time Bank. They're very good at identifying that, and the Flash Wolves here as well, identifying this is what we need to do to win specifically for the situation.
Exactly. And to be honest, that is one of those things that often separates teams, right? You know, even as teams like Hong Kong Attitude now, and you know, even when Matchy were kind of pushing top 3, and now also Fireball, you know, even when these teams start to become comparable to these top 3 teams in terms of skill level and in terms of execution, sometimes you end up in those clutch moments. And it is those top 3 teams that are winning those clutch moments because they prepare for them, because they practice them, because they are good at pulling it off. And that is something that those other teams aren't doing. They are either winning outright, or if it is a tight game, they lose it. Because they don't know how to get it over the line at that crucial moment.
I want to speak to the preparation. It's interesting you bring up preparation because it does appear to me it's quite prevalent that Fireball did not prepare for Eichenwalde as well as Flash Wolves did. Now, Flash Wolves pick anyway, and you kind of wonder, it's a weird pick, it's an oddball pick because it's not a pick a lot of teams will go for. Why did Flash Wolves go for it? That a specific set strategy that they perfect and practice just for Eichenwalde. You can see that they came in very prepared for this map. You can see just from Fireball's response. A, they didn't see it coming, and B, even when they were defending, they didn't change anything. I'm not saying they have to, but they didn't make any attempt to. It didn't cross their minds. Maybe this is, do we prepare something special for Eichenwalde? No, we will play our standard. We will play everything very standard and play it just like it's any other game. And I find it amazing and kind of surprising that Fireball did not come in prepared against Flash Wars on Eichenwalde. And that seems like a weird thing to say because it's like, well, you didn't think about Eichenwalde. But it's more like if you get to Eichenwalde, it's like, I think they're going to play this. Because I spotted it out right away. And maybe I have seen all the games, but if you're on Fireball, it's also up to you to be able to watch those games.
Yeah, and that's exactly, you're completely right, because it speaks to a bit of misprepping. Because at that point, it's not even about prepping for Eichenwalde, right? This is actually something Flash Wolves have been running on pretty much all hybrid lately. This has been a strategy they obviously want to refine. Now, they pulled it out against teams like Sun Sister, teams like Detonator, and now of course Fireball, pulled it out against teams like Matchy, and it has looked a bit shaky at times. That right there was the cleanest it's looked. So that is a two-part thing. One, I think Flash Wolves have actually refined it a lot more. Two, Fireball didn't actually read it, they didn't think about it, which is a mistake on their part for exactly the reasons you mentioned. You should know that Flash Wolves have been doing this, and to that end, you should have gone, right, when we come up against Flash Wolves on hybrid, given that it will be their pick, given that they've been practicing this team comp, let's assume that it is, how would we beat it? And it just looks like Fireball, didn't do that at all.
You know what? The answer was right in front of their faces, because if you watched Detonator versus Blank last night, they showed you exactly how to beat that. They executed properly.
And it was really great.
And maybe I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and say, look, Detonator might have gotten slightly fortunate there because they didn't plan. Maybe they did plan that Blank were going to do that. I would say no, because Blank don't have a history of playing that composition, but they kind of got quite fortunate.
Yeah, they lucked out.
They kind of lucked out, but at the same time, when they saw it, they said, thank you. We're now going to take advantage of this and do it the way it's meant to be done.
It just so happens the thing we wanted to do is also the perfect counter to you, and executed on that. It wasn't like, okay, we're just going to continue doing what we wanted to, like what our plan was, irrespective of what you're doing. It's okay, given that it is now this, we're going to alter this slightly. You know, we're going to put the Maywalls here instead of there so that we have cover against your Torbjorn or Orisa. And you're completely right. It was, you
Block's line of sight to Supercharger as well, by the way.
Sure, they lucked out,
crazy good
but
counter.
they also executed properly after that, which is the more important thing.
It's very impressive and eye-opening that, you know, on one hand, of the side of it, it's kind of polarizing, because on one hand you have a team that is directly shown this is how you play against it. On the other hand, you have a team where, despite a reasonably good showing on Lijiang Tower, unfortunately, this was a bit of a shutout in Eichenwalde and a lack of ability to actually adapt to what Flash Wolves were doing, because it's not like, hey, Flash Wolves have pulled the strat on us. You have 4 minutes to react to that.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And I mean, they tried. They tried to, and I think what we may be having here is a replay.
Yeah, and this is...
You looked really confused. I thought it was a reset as well.
This is one of the attempts, because it's in the last minute of gameplay.
So here's what I mean by taken by surprise. You'll see Bacon Jack start to come around the side here. Kurlos spots it. T2Watt and the tanks are too deep. Now Kurlos can't heal them up. T2Watt is in the middle of this. Earth Shatter goes wide, and this whole time, Kurlos has been busy on the side. Ended enough, finally pulled back to help him, but it was all too late. The team was scattered, and it was like they were surprised that a Tracer was flanking their healers.
And actually, Kurlos did a great job of defending himself. He actually held out Bacon Jack, and not a lot of healers in this competition can safely hold out Bacon Jack on their own. The thing that's kind of problematic about this play is you lose a Pudo early, and then the rest of your team pulls back to save Kurlos, help him, and maybe even chase after Bacon Jack, and that's not going to happen. Bacon Jack's going to get away on blinks, he's going to get away on recalls, and you've pulled your entire team out of position just for one player.
And the thing is, right, yeah, you're right, Kurlos didn't die, and you're right, a lot of healers would die against Bacon Jack there, but the truth is, Kurlos having all his time taken up by Bacon Jack is effectively the same as him dying, because all Bacon Jack wants to do, whether he kills you or whether he just wastes your time, he just wants the healers to not be healing. That is what the Tracer's job is there, and that's why T2Watt died, that's why the tanks were too deep, and that's why it looked really odd, and that's why I also say it's like they were taken by surprise. That is exactly what Tracer does. It is absurd to not know that. I know that, and I only play solo.
It's realistically the biggest factor there was actually a Pudo dying very early on. I'm still going to say, because
that too.
The majority of your damage is gone. Your healers can heal all they want, but Apudo's your main damage dealer. He's out of the picture. Zonda's not out of the picture. That's an issue you're going to be able to deal with. They tried to keep the game alive. In fact, one of the options is to maybe pull back. 1 minute remaining. Yeah, it's not a lot of time, but it is enough. It is enough time to get Apudo back into the fight. regroup and retake it.
Yeah.
They actually still committed to that fight, lost additional members, then had to wait for those respawns anyway. And I think you noted this, but Tita what committed the Earth Shatter.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, also seeing that, because we didn't actually get to see it during the game itself, but the Earth Shatter itself was a bit of a whiff. I think he might have caught someone off to the side that was just a little bit out of sight.
Yeah.
Of course he must have, otherwise it would have been absolutely harebrained that commit. But in any case, the whole way through there on the attack, I feel Fireball didn't go slow enough. Sometimes you do just need to slow down, sound things out, and appreciate your surroundings while you're going. I understand the thought process is the longer we stand here, the more vulnerable we are to Torbjorn. But you can take your time in certain ways by using cover. They failed to. It's no surprise. They constantly got repaired.
They're going to need to take a little bit of time to figure out what they're going to prepare for our third and potentially final map. At least it will be Fireball's pick. It's going to be it's not going to be Temple Anubis. Who knows? It's going to be Assault. But this was the map that they brought it back against AHQ.
Yes, it
Maybe
was.
they can bring it back against Flash Wolves as well. We're going to find out the answer to that question and many more when we come back from this break. Thank you for sticking through the break with us as we're about to head into map number 3 of Flash Wolves versus Fireball. It's going to be Assault, Fireball's pick. And look, Lijiang was pretty good. Eichenwalde not so good for Fireball, but this will be the last chance. And this was the game mode that brought Fireball back in this series against AHQ.
Yeah, and in that series, they had looked a lot worse on the first 2 maps. I'll be honest, that Eichenwalde was a little similar to AHQ's King's Row, but they turned it back around. You're completely right. It was actually Temple of Anubis. Now, Fireball, they get to pick here.
Why
I
not?
wouldn't be surprised
Go
if
right
they pick,
back
It worked against AHQ. Heck, why not? And
Just don't go to Volsky.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I can say this, but I mean, picking up a map win, it's good for Fireball. It's always going to be good for Fireball. That goes without saying. But it would be devastating for Flash Wolves. It would be absolutely massive. It would be one of the only teams that actually lost a map to.
Yeah, you can say it 2 more times. That's how many.
Yeah,
Exactly
that's
2
it.
more times.
To ration them out. Going to Anubis. Woohoo!
Yep. All right, it's the comeback, fellas. Fireball looking to complete that
I
reverse
believe.
sweep. Fireball going to be the first team to take a map off of Flash Wolves for, what is it now?
Hopefully.
7 weeks? 7
Hopefully.
weeks.
Send them your energy. Hopefully they can do it. I believe.
Fireball, take my fire.
Take my fire.
Take my fire.
Take my. Keep it away from any buildings. Just take it. And like burn down.
Children and
Flash Wolves with
small
it, yeah.
objects, just take the fire and use it
Burn
to
down
win.
the forest. Flush out the wolves. Catch them out in the open.
Flush
right?
out the wolves.
That's the plan. That's the plan. Yeah.
Oh, man.
You got to force them out of cover, right? Right.
Do
You
the,
go-
op-
yeah.
do
You
the
go into
opposite of the
forest,
boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, you go into the forest, you're in their territory. It's the opposite of the boy who cried wolf. It's the boy who set fire to the wolf's forest. I love that novel by Stieg Larsson.
Wow. Look, the
That
wolves.
does
look,
sound like it could be one of those
the
books.
wolves
eh?
had a bad time there, and so did every single other animal that lives in the forest. It's like,
It's like the
Collateral
opposite.
damage,
It is the
collateral damage.
opposite of Noah's Ark.
oh my god.
Instead of
There's
saving each
something
animal, instead of saving each animal from a flood, which is water, you kill every animal in a fire.
It's pretty extreme.
We have gone on a tangent here.
That is an image and a half. I'll tell you what, you can use that one time and you've used it. So
It's done. It's over. I can't go there again.
Photo's complete.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd really want to go there twice. I do not condone violence against animals.
Just to put it out there, but where we are going to go twice is Temple of Anubis, and
Yes.
Fireball looking to get a repeat of the victory they had against AHQ. Where they specifically did that was on that second cap. Neither team successfully held the first cap, but Fireball did successfully hold against AHQ on their defense.
It was a pretty exciting defensive hold as well, by the way. It was just very clean. I think AHQ barely squeaked out a third on one of those fights, and it was a fight they very quickly lost. It wasn't like they won the fight to get the third. They were actually losing it the whole time. They just happened to get a third in it because of how the positioning worked out. I really favor Fireball on the defense here.
Something that's interesting here is both teams in that particular match ran Sombra Reaper. Maybe
Sombreeper.
Sombreeper.
By the way, I've also got a new
friends in the
term.
cinematic,
Yeah,
too.
I've also got a new term for when you have a Mercy pocketing Widowmaker. I call it Mercy.
My favorite combination in the game is McCreeper.
It sounds like a dude like a pedophile tips his fedora like McCreeper. Like Yeah. Looks
Again,
looks
not
like
an
we've
image
got
I was looking for, but thank you for
looks
that
like
anyway.
we've got another bit of a delay
2
here.
for 2 this evening.
There are some really cool, like there's always really cool like combination names. Like Pharmacy is probably the classic one, but like we don't get to see the other ones like Sombripa. Like we don't get that quite so often, and I
Sombripa.
wish we saw more of it. You know?
Sombrito.
So what?
Sombrito. Widow sombrero. You don't get that? You don't get the sombrero?
Sombrito maker.
Sombrito.
Sombrito. I
I'll
don't
get a
know.
medium-sized sombrero and
I'll have
hold the cream.
hold the Lucios.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, because it's hard to get other combinations because I feel like Mercy attached anyone because of the beam. It is like a very literal like attachment, especially when they are only pocketing one person, and you actually don't really get that in other ways, you know.
Right, you can't have
Yeah.
a Lucio pocketing you, for example.
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
get out of
Yeah,
everyone get out of this.
He's just got really big pockets. Everyone is in them.
So if you are waiting, just excuse, we still do have a couple of technical delays on the player's side. Hopefully those will be resolved in due time, but we do know what the map is. It does look like both teams actually connected into the map, so just going to resolve those issues while we sort of continue joking about all the different combinations
yeah.
of heroes we can think of.
we're just gonna list all of them together. But the trouble is, right? Ana's name is too short to do it. You can't really combine anything with Ana.
Sombrana.
Like
Sombrana.
Sombrana, Winstana. It doesn't work. It's not the same. And even
Yeah,
again, like you don't pocket
Soldier A
someone
and
with
A.
Ana. Soljana.
Soldier no,
Sultana.
Soldier A.N.A. Soldier A and A. That's
I suppose. I like Sultana, but even actually, you know, because they're in the lore, Soldier and Ana are now working together to track down Reaper. So in the 3v3 map,
Yeah.
Necropolis, that is their hideout. Fun fact.
interesting.
Yeah,
Soldier went from Dorado to Necropolis,
to
and
Necropolis,
Temple
yeah,
of Olympus.
yeah. Well, actually, they lost. Sorry, no, they found like where they met each other, where they came across each other, was both of them were aware of some kind of odd activity going on, and both encountered Reaper in like the sort of Temple of Anubis area, if I'm not mistaken. And that was where they encountered each other. Found out that both like the other was alive, and happens to be in the same place. So obviously, Soldier after the whole shebang in Dorado was like, Talon, what's going on? And Ana has obviously been doing the same because of getting shot by Widowmaker.
So while we're waiting as well, it does appear that K Momo's game has crashed and he is rebooting to get himself back in there. And it's interesting, I would like a little bit more of development on the lore as well because,
Yeah.
you know, at the moment, what I specifically want to see is more villains in the game because I feel like the villains, they're kind of separated. Do Junkrat and Roadhog count? Maybe kind of, they're like pseudo-villains.
They're just in
that
it
kind
for
of-
themselves.
They
That's the
really
thing.
are. They really are in it
Actually,
for themselves. And
here's a fun fact.
It feels like Talon are an organization and then Sombra's doing her own thing. And I wanted them to develop Talon a bit more
I
specifically.
loved how in the Sombra cinematic, like in the intro thing, she has like a whole web of everything's connected. McCree wasn't on it. I like to imagine when she first encountered McCree, she's like, who's this cowboy-looking buffoon? Like, who dresses like that? Like, who the heck is this guy? Like, everyone's there having a fight, and then like McCree turns up with like his boots and his belt buckle, and Sombra's just laughing at him. But here's a tidbit, by the way. Speaking of K Momo's game crashing, here's my segue. K Momo is the D.Va main. Apparently, D.Va is the buggiest hero. Every time they make changes to the game, every time something new comes in, most of the conflicts and most of the issues happen with D.Va.
Yeah.
Whenever that happens. That's a fun fact. They spend more time fixing D.Va getting broken by any change they make than they do any other bug fixing.
I think it's the fact with the mech and the pilot being two separate
It's
things. And I'll tell you
basically
what,
two heroes.
And I'll tell you what, every single D.Va main out there, or at least 99% of them, would probably agree, you know what, Blizzard, if you're happy to take the pilot part of the game, we'll be okay with that. We'll be absolutely
Yeah,
fine
I'm sick
with
of getting
deleting the
petted.
pilot. Deleting the pilot from the game, that's probably an upgrade. That's a buff to D.Va, if anything. Like,
But I feel like Blizzard are just so attached to the pilot. Like that's the part that they love the most. It's like she plays esports, she plays StarCraft. Remember StarCraft, guys? And they're just so excited by that. They'd never get rid of the pilot ever.
I can't wait for the Hearthstone hero though. Like every ability, it's one of three outcomes, and you don't know which one it is. You press your shift, and one of three things are going to happen, and you don't know what it is.
Yeah. And as ultimate, you press Q and it's pick one.
Choose one, and the rope starts going down.
The enemy team. It's like it'll be like, oh, what's the one? The name is just escaping my mind. The time dragon. What's its name? No,
Nosdormu.
Nosdormu. I was thinking like Nostradamus, but Nosdormu, right? Your ultimate is Nosdormu. Suddenly the enemy team only has 15 seconds to cap the point.
The point.
You can have that
Wow.
one for free, Blizzard.
I don't know about that.
that would be
Here's
so busted.
Actually, here's something that is interesting. It's kind of meta in the game, but just on the back of that, the game made an interesting thought.
In Hearthstone or in Overwatch?
No, in Overwatch. If you had an ability which your ultimate reduced the timer by 15 seconds, just straight. And it kind of affects the game in a different kind of way. It's a very interesting, unique concept. By the way, I have that one for free, Jeff.
Yeah, we're not even covering that. We're just completely theory crafting now.
Well, it's interesting because it affects the game in a very meta sort of way. It doesn't do anything directly onto the battlefield, or affects the battlefield like not at all.
It affects other mechanics.
But it affects the overall game, the objective itself.
Well, I feel like Sombra is like a softer version of that with the hack and the EMP, because it removes your mechanic of using your stuff. That would I feel like that's an interesting territory to explore.
And actually as well, a mechanic that freezes progress as well. So for example, you press the ultimate and then you're on control, the progress is freezed. It's frozen. Or on a payload, the card is frozen. And it just does not move for the entire duration of your ultimate. So that's a very interesting...
And basically you would have to disengage. That would be really interesting.
It's an interesting concept because it doesn't necessarily change the fight, but it does change the objective. It changes the way the map works.
How Diva's self-destruct forces the enemy team's hand in terms of their positioning, you have to react to it. It would do exactly that. It's like, if we can't win this fight, because the payload isn't going to move no matter what we do, if we can't win this fight, we have to leave it. That would be really interesting. And
obviously, if you're on a cap, you're on a 2 CP, you're on a control, or rather an assault, or you're on a hybrid with the first cap, your cap progress is just stopped.
Man, this is way better time filler than the 2 socks thing, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to say, and it's warmed up a little bit. I'm only wearing 1 pair of socks now.
Right. Well, we're still trying to sort out these delays, so we do thank you for your patience while you're sticking with us, and we should be continuing map number 3 very shortly. So we'll see you soon. Surprise, we are right into the game. Here it is, map number 3, Fireball versus Flash Wolves.
Yeah, no time to waste here. I've got somewhere to be, you've got somewhere to be. That's probably back to the microwave because you are halfway through cooking food. And speaking of getting cooked, is T2Watt pulling back to the point. Flash Wolves are on attack first, Fireball opting to defend. Let's see how well they hold.
Indeed, and both teams are running basically the same composition. In fact, the only difference is Anna and Zenyatta, and so far, Mech goes down, and that's about the only kills. No, now they're coming
that's
quick.
actually really good. That's punishing them piling onto that small little ledge, able to take out Jongi and Sinkler in that, but that's all they've got. So the DPS itself is still having pretty much free reign here. Good catch onto Zonda, but honestly, Bacon Jack having free reign is just as good, and they're going to happily take that, try and maximize the, I suppose, ground they get out of there. Bacon Jack's actually getting a little bit pressured off here. Fireball might just actually be able to hold this one out here. Flash Wolves were a little bit too thin, and K-Momo did pull back, even though he didn't have the mech.
Oh, nice
catch on the back end. Fireball, they're actually going to hold that.
Second one, Maputo is landing these long-range shurikens, something every good Genji player should be able to do, and Fireball's still looking for a couple picks on the back end, actually.
Yeah,
so it's not quite over just yet, and they've actually got a decent number of ultimates. This is going to carry their next couple of defensive fights, something Flash Wolves have not picked up at all.
I actually feel like Flash Wolves piled in a little bit too hard. Zonda did tunnel on Kurlos a little bit, and then also when they popped Ninth out of the mech, Jongi, he kind of got dollar bills in his eyes, so it did hurt them just a little bit on that.
So 4 ultimates lit up for Fireball now, still 0 onto Flash Wolves, and you're probably right, Flash Wolves kind of overstayed there. Good trace for Fireball now, it's going to be Anubis connected.
Yeah, straight through. Sinkler actually committed the Transcendence onto that as well, so with the kills kind of still coming up Fireball's way, I mean, they're already doing nicely, going to be able to catch Sinkler on the back end of that one as well. They're just doing fine here, keeping this one on lockdown, and they are actually bleeding some resources out of Flash Wolves quite well.
They do lose the high ground, though, so that's something the Flash Wolves now have in their back pockets, and suddenly the ultimates have flipped onto the other side. They've managed to save, and now looking for kills.
Yeah, the sound barrier was at least there defensively, but Ninth didn't have the mech, so they're able to take advantage of that. Aputo is trying to respond with his own Dragon Blade, but honestly, Zonda did get a little bit more out of it, be able to get T2Watt on the back end. As much as Aputo had more health off the end of that, he didn't really have any further backup, so Flash Wolves, no surprise that they sort of shut that fight away, and that was all down to, like you said, they were actually able to get the high ground despite the previous fight loss, and it wasn't too crippling a loss. They were still in position to aggress.
And that's the other thing as well. You're perfectly right about that. I think Fireball maintaining control of that high ground was absolutely important, and because they lost that suddenly allowed Flash Wolves their momentum, their option to actually attack the point itself. Zonda had a really good run as well, getting kills with Dragon Blade, getting kills on the back end with T2Watt with just the shurikens as well. Really put Fireball, or rather Flash Wolves, in a really good position, and the ultimate's coming online for Flash Wolves at the correct time while Fireball were looking lean.
Yeah, you're actually completely right there. They did actually, I sort of briefly mentioned this, they ran down a lot of time actually. It was about 1:26 when Flash Wolves did cap, which is actually quite good. They ran down, 2.5 minutes of time. There is still a lot of time they're going to have to defend for, but honestly, better than what they did against AHQ.
And this is where Fireball should be really favored. This is where they're held out against AHQ. This is going to be their best chance in this map, and it's usually, you know, a lot of teams are able to hold out here, so we'll see what they can do. Early kills coming on through.
Yeah, they need to get some trade kills here, at the very least not let Bacon Jack a free roam, but he's already going to do that. Catches Ninth, forces out the self-destruct. They close out on Kurlos as well. They don't quite close out on Ninth in that pilot form, but they're able to crack the mech a second time as they commit their Transcendence.
Oh, this is big.
This is very big. They should be able to get it done here. Yeah, T1 is going to be the first to respawn. They actually commit a sound barrier to give T1 even more mileage so they can get some respawns through, but again, they're not actually closing out the kills here. That is what they're going to need to do. They really need to find a way to force Flash Wolves actually off this point fully. There's the way to do it. Yeah, they are able to get some respawns out. Zonda goes down, picking Bacon Jack as well. DPS is out of the picture. Fireball do hold on. They gave themselves just enough runway to do that, using that sound barrier into Primal Rage. Don't quite close out on K-Momo before he gets back in the mech, but they're going to be able to pop it a second time. Even more ult charge. Good hold.
The biggest thing here is actually the lack of the 1/3 tick that Flash Wolves didn't even get. So the other thing I got to sort of consider here is Realman held down to the sound barrier. He could have probably have used it to save Zon. They kept the fight going because there was a lot of momentum behind Flash Wolves. Then I kind of felt like they had the ability to get at least 1/3, if not a second third. Fireball were a lot of members still respawning. It was just here to what Primal Rage. Just had to get past Primal Rage and not enough damage coming out from Fireball until the pulse run from Enzinar really connected. Kurlos got killed a lot there, so he's only just getting EMP now, which is very late.
Yeah, but the fact that they were able to survive that fight where he didn't have the EMP is quite significant. Ooh, nearly got the hack through onto Bacon Jack. That would be pretty crippling for the guy. See how they react to.
He's had a poor run already. I mean, you're right, crippling because he's died twice in a row, and that's affected his ability to get EMP early. Dying now would actually give Flash Wolves an immediate push.
Oh, wow. Headshots onto Zonda, who was already a little bit low there. That was a really great catch by Kurlos there. So it's already just kind of dictated this one. Flash Wolves can't go for a push here. They had to back off.
Saving a bunch of ultimates, but ultimate's not going to do a lot if Kurlos can get a really good EMP. I actually think Fireball should play this kind of how AHQ played against Machi, was maybe actually get quite aggressive with this EMP. Set yourself up to play even outside the point. If your team can follow it properly, get the EMP down early and dictate the pacing of these fights.
By the way, this is triple DPS out here for Flash Wolves, so this can actually survive fairly well against EMP. You do lose a lot of mobility on the Tracer and Genji, but you still have good damage output. But another great catch early on onto Sinclair. K-Momo is getting aggressed upon, gets cleaned out, and they're even getting Realman on the back end of this. This is so huge because even with all these ultimates here, Flash Wolves are getting pushed back. That wasn't EMP commit to make that happen, but that was actually a lot of time run out of the clock now for Flash Wolves.
You can see the fervor coming out of Fireball, so you can see just how much energy they're putting into this game. Obviously not going to be too happy with the Eichenwalde situation. Exactly. If you send your fire into Fireball's way, I don't know what the address is, but just just put your hands up. I'm sure it'll work.
One Fireball lane.
Destination the sun.
Ship that 93 million miles.
Yeah.
All right, Bacon Jack around the backside now, going to try and catch Pulse Bomb, but ended it up. Already catching K-Momo. This is the volatility of triple DPS, so now actually Flash Wolves have to get a lot of mileage with what they've got. They do have a lot.
They're actually staying. They're staying.
They're deciding to commit. I don't disagree with this, but it is going to be tricky. If another member dies, they're just going to have ended up wasting their own time, but catching Rocket is a good way to go.
They're trying to bait out EMP.
Yeah, they're desperately trying to. All of their ultimates available. They've committed 2 of them now, and the EMP still now finally has gone out, but Ninth shuts it right down. They only committed 2 ultimates to that Flash Wolves, so that's not too bad. They still have a lot to go off, but they are still constantly getting rebuffed, even when by rights they should have a huge advantage in these fights.
That was, I didn't like the commit out of Flash Wolves. I felt like it was way too half committed, half not, because the problem here is none of the support ultimates were actually in there. You're playing triple DPS, you know you're going to lose members because, like you said, it's kind of volatile because you don't have the HP pool. What you need there is one of the support ultimates committed while the DPS go in with their own ultimates, keep them alive, keep them in the game. Obviously, the self-destruct was fantastic. That was kind of a misplay for Flash Wolves as well. Every single time, Flash Wolves are just losing people in the top line. You got 30 seconds left. This is exactly how Fireball beat AHQ. In fact, they're doing a better job versus Flash Wolves than they did against AHQ, because by this time, AHQ already got 1 tick.
And when you're on this first defense, if you do first hold, you only have to cap a third yourself. 20 seconds left now.
There's no EMP though.
Flash, there is no EMP, but they can still get one in time, especially with Aputo and Enzinar taking damage. It's even nearly here now. They have to commit. Let's see how they go.
K-Momo's looking for the flank, so this is smart. I hope someone from Fireball actually notices this.
Puno's low, though. He gets his health topped off. Sound barrier saves them. They need to shut down K-Momo. The block, and they get K-Momo. This is already going pear-shaped. Ends in and are out with the pulse bomb, and they do actually catch Puno. There is the EMP. Let's see what Zonda can still make it. Oh, no one was on the point. I don't. Shiver me timbers, I don't believe it. I'm not allowed to swear on this broadcast, but they just first held out Flash Wolves. That was even better than what they did against AHQ. Flash Wolves got consistently picked out every single time they tried to set up, dude. Like, wow. Fireball had their number.
That was incredible, and kind of what we saw from Fireball on... Which map would have been? It was Night Market, if I'm not mistaken, where Fireball didn't have a good opportunity to use ultimates. They saved up until 6, and usually when you save up until 6, that's not a good sign. If you're on the attacking side and you saved up until 6, it's bad. If you're on the defensive side, saving up to 6 ultimates, fantastic. That's the position you want to be in. Now Fireball, in this position, Flash Wolves couldn't even push.
Yeah.
They had so many opportunities where, okay, you got 6 ultimates, committed 3 of them, both your supports died without any support ultimates. That's a bad push. Come back in, no one got on the point, 30 seconds left to go. Real disaster.
Yeah, and you even said when they were setting up for it, I hope someone spotted K-Momo. Well, the right person had. It was Knight. He shut down the tac visor, and K-Momo, because he'd gone for a flank, suddenly had to sprint through Fireball to get back to his team while getting blocked out damage-wise. So he couldn't even return the damage that was being done to him. No one could heal him because all of the tanks needed healing as well. They just completely shut out Fireball. And then suddenly they had to attack the point itself with no health pack control, with no real setup, with no Reaper ultimate, and then the EMP came through.
So here's a couple of things teams are doing against Sombra Reaper. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but actually, Fireball didn't run a Reaper. Am I correct in my memory good on that one? It was a Puno and Genji and Inzanana Tracer, so in fact, they did not run a Reaper.
Yeah, I was going to say, they did against AHQ, but
the teams running against a Sombra, if you're attacking against a Sombra, teams that are opting to play a Sombra of their own, get the counter P in there, counter hack the health packs, and secondly to that, you want to play a Reaper. A lot of teams are playing the Reaper because you're not necessarily as affected by that EMP. You only lose the rate form, which is a big deal, but a lot of other DPSs and heroes in general lose a lot more.
All right, let's see how Flash Wolves go on this defense, because this is a bit of a Flash Wolf special here. Realman onto this Torbjorn. Knight's pulling out this Widowmaker, though. Could crack this one wide open, or could be a liability. An early pick onto Kurlos. Good work by Bacon Jack, but they're too deep. Bacon Jack able to recall. Zonda not so lucky. This is a big opening for them. Kurlos has a shorter walk. If they can keep these members alive, they still had themselves a window.
Absolutely, and they just lost. The only member they lost was Kurlos. He's already back into the fight. Ninth is controlling this forward area. Turret already going down, so forces the remake of the turret. And Fireball just have to get all the positioning here. Ninth is going to open up the entire space. It's up to Fireball to do something with it.
Yeah, so here's going to be now a move towards the commit on the point. They do need to pick the right moment, though. And,
yep,
that's massive. This is how you pick the right moment. Ninth will get aggressed upon, but Zonda is now not at the fight that is going sour for Flash Wolves as Jongi gets picked out as well. They pick out Realman and the turret in one fell swoop.
Zonda's late to the party.
Yeah, and Zonda was on the wrong side of that, completely tunneling on the Widowmaker. Sure, you displaced it, but it doesn't matter. They are going to get this cap through. Fireball, they only need to get a third on point 2.
Ninth did his job. He baited Zonda out so cleanly. Zonda didn't even kill Ninth immediately, so that was even more time committed by Zonda. And like you said, as that was happening, the rest of Fireball were committing onto the other members of Flash Wolves, and Zonda, he turns around, his team's dead, it's too late.
We talked about this at the top of the night. Flash Wolves do not want to lose this. By the way, Fireball held out first point longer than Flash Wolves did. But yeah, Flash Wolves don't want to lose this. You don't want to show any kind of creep.
So here's the question. We talked about team preparing and playing to the circumstances. The circumstance now is Fireball only got to cap out 1 tick. What are they going to do to do that? Because they don't have to play like that to cap the whole thing.
They are going to be fighting into an EMP, and it will be up by the time this first push comes. By the time this first push comes through, Short Connery's going to be there. It's too late. The damage is done. Bacon Jack, in a bit of trouble, has to use that recall early. He's trying to harass the backside, but he needs to be careful to not do what Zonda just did in the last fight and be at the wrong end of it. Fireball are on the point, EMP out, but they've already got Zonda and K-Momo. It doesn't matter if the EMP goes out if Aputo's already opened up with the Dragon Blade. Good response, kill onto Rocket, but they have to be careful. No supports, so Fireball could just get a little bit cut off here. Titawatt's going to draw this one out. They're going all out on this one. K-Momo and Bacon Jack, both, actually K-Momo is just barely alive, barely gets back in the mech. They did catch Realman, but the response kills are there. Flash Wolves are just going to hold on for now, but I tell you what, my friends, 5 minutes plus still left on the clock. There is all the time in the world, and Fireball nearly got it over the line just then.
Yeah, Fireball need to play for a setup here, and they're actually going to do that. They're going to go Sombra for themselves. So like I said, what are they going to do specifically to play the circumstance, which is you have 1/3 to cap and only 1/3. You play for one big fight and just get that cap on. The way they're going to play that is with a Sombra of their own. They're not even going to play the Reaper. They might not even have to.
I'm shaken. Like, this is so intense. Like, Fireball could do it, man. This would be like their first map loss since week 4 for Flash Wolves? That would be insane. Fireball, come on. Kurlos, early pick on the Bacon Jack. This is a window. If they can get Zonda topped off as well, he's in a bit of trouble. EMP is out already from Sinclair. Zonda is very low. Does not find a Pudo. They're getting some through, but they have lost Knight. This is going to be a hard commit now as K-Momo is on the point, is able to take out T2Watt. But there are kills coming up for Fireball. They only have to get that 1/3. Sound barrier is there. They need to close this one out quick, smart. It does get eaten, but K-Momo is going to go down for it anyway. They're all over this one. Zonda, he's dead with the Dragon Blade out as Bacon Jet gets picked off as well, and I don't believe it, ladies and gentlemen. They are poised to do it now with all of these members of Fireball on the point. Two members trickling onto the point from Flash Wolves, trying to delay out with that sound barrier, but no such luck. Explosion from the Diva will force the positioning. A few more members of Flash Wolves coming out now, but again, it is the trickle. He does, and he can stall, but they're on the cusp of losing K-Momo anyway. The stall might not be enough. Zonda has to get something huge, and that is if he does not go down. It is so close for both teams. Zonda, he gets shut down a second time, and this time it's after committing the Dragon Blade. And Flash Wolves, they are holding on for dear life, but it might not be enough. Their grip is slipping, their fingers are burning, and Fireball are looking poised to try and close this out. Oh no, they get repelled. The final kill from Jongi there. Jesus, what a fight from Fireball. And it's still not over.
Both sides, really, man. That was a big one. And the second EMP actually comes out alive for Sinclair as well, so they're ready to hold for at least one more fight here. Kurlos needs to get this EMP. They got to fight with both Sombras have the EMP. If you can counter the other Sombra out, this is one of the options you can actually get in. The supports are the most important for Fireball because they need the sustain. They need to be able to keep their members alive. This is something Flash Wolves have options for. Fireball do not because they don't have the health pack control.
Apudo has to get his health topped off or he is in trouble. NZNR has an ultimate. They have more to work with. They need to actually get something out of it. Flash Wolves are trying to shut it down before these ultimates can connect.
Absolutely. A lot of ultimates now for Fireball. So this is actually a good opportunity. This is probably the timing window they're looking for. Like I said, both Sombras have the EMP. This is exactly when Fireball going to go. That's a disaster.
That is absolutely terrible. They spent a bit too much time trying to shut down Bacon Jack, who was sat on that health pack hacked by Sombra. Fireball repelled and rebuffed. Did draw out the EMP. That's huge.
I would actually make that trade. I would lose Kurlos there just to get the EMP out of Sinclair because now Flash Wolves are not going to have a counterplay. Fireball going to go in. The self-destruct might come out. That will buy Flash Wolves a bit of time, but that's the only option they have. Fireball got to go. They got to go quick. They cannot let Sinclair charge up a second EMP or this could be all over.
This is so tight as it is. This is going to come down to the wire. This is still with 2 minutes left, mind you. Fireball could actually do 2 pushes here.
But I feel like they're wasting time.
This has got to be the one. They're going very aggressive around the side. Need to be careful not to get cut off. Bacon Jack, great stick. T2Watt is out of the picture, and it's already shut this one down. No ultimates committed out of Fireball, though. That is the one good takeaway they have, and they didn't lose too much time either.
Oh, that is really hard to watch because now Sinclair's going to get the other EMP. The timing window has closed. That's a really difficult position for Fireball to be in. They had 5 ultimates going into that. Did someone actually commit an extra? Because I'm pretty sure they had 5. And they're going into this fight. Flash Wolves only had 1 ultimate.
No, they didn't. It's 9th is self-destruct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, here it is.
So that's what I'm talking about. So there it is. And they only had Flash Wolves had the self-destructive to K-Momo and nothing else. And now they will have options against Fireball. It's hard. It's a very difficult position to be in.
It really, really is. But look, 1/3 is achievable in a lot of situations. I feel like this is still doable. Fireball, they still have it in their favor. It is still the ask for Flash Wolves. Good hack to open up, but losing NZNR is very, very bad news. And again, the closeout is already there. Luckily, once again, the retreat can come through for Fireball with nothing committed, but man, they are losing time.
Every single one of these fights Fireball loses, Flash Wolves get stronger. Like I said, if you've got the defensive team and you're sitting on 6 ultimates, that's fantastic. If you're
something about what doesn't kill you.
If you're attacking team sitting on 6 ultimates, you wasted a lot of time. That just says you've been at maximum strength and you haven't committed anything to actually try and take the objective. You've just been sitting on all the resources and not doing anything about it. The defense, they're willing and happy to do that, though.
In all fairness, though, that is what Fireball did to Flash Wolves on their defense. It is not a completely absurd situation. They had to wait for Knight to get his mech back. That is a good hack. But Knight, like I said, has to wait to get the mech back. 19 seconds.
I don't know if they can wait.
This is so dangerous.
If Flash Wolves push out and get a kill, I don't know. This is either team could really do this.
All right, Ninth has the mech back. This is the time to go. T2What, though, is in trouble on the side. Kurlos is in, looking for the EMP, but Flash Wolves is scattered. There's the commit. Who can they catch? Bacon Jack, that's a good way to start, but they lose. Apudo, they haven't closed out on Bacon Jack. Finally close out on Zonda. It's still an uphill battle for Fireball. They're getting rebuffed and repelled. The self-destruct out for Ninth. What can he catch with it? Nothing, unfortunately. The stall tools were there for Jongi and the sound barrier as well. And the fight was just ultimately too even. It isn't over yet, but Flash Wolves have it all on lockdown. Bacon Jack, great EMP, is going to force Ninth out of this one. The last few members to get mopped up. And do you know what this means, AVRL? We're going to Golden Point.
Good news is it's not all over for Fireball. They could actually still pick up the first map victory against Flash Wolves in 7 weeks. And Flash Wolves know it. Look, you can see it on the look on their faces. This is the closest they've ever been to dropping a map.
Yeah,
in those 7 weeks.
Exactly. No one's bought them this close. And we were saying they don't want to drop a map before playoffs if they could help it. But I'll be honest, in a lot of ways, this is just as bad. Fireball just showed everyone how to beat Flash Wolves on Assault.
And actually, they could have probably have done that on the second attack. The one that went for a very long time, it looked very Fireball favored, but after losing their second support, after losing both their supports, not getting a second EMP while Sinclair did, although Sinclair didn't commit it, the fact that he had it, he could have committed it, and Flash Wolves would have won it even harder. And that's a big issue to take away. Fireball were close, not close enough.
And the reason I say Fireball just showed everyone how to beat Flash Wolves, even though Fireball didn't beat Flash Wolves, with that first defense, look, they put themselves in a situation where I guarantee you a team like AHQ or Blank or heck even Hong Kong Attitude would have been able to push it over that line and kept that third. Doesn't mean Fireball is like a bad team, but those other teams being that little bit better would have probably been able to close that one out. Like I said, they showed everyone how you can beat Flash Wolves, how you do that defense to set yourself up in that situation. Flash Wolves also showed their skill on the defense, but it is easier to read and crack a defense than it is to hold out an offense.
You know something as well, statistically, Assault is Flash Wolves' best game mode. We talk about statistics here. They've dropped controls before. They've dropped hybrids before, but they do not drop Assault.
That is very true. And this is the closest they've ever come. It so nearly happened. I mean, it nearly happened a number of times, actually. And I'll be honest, Fireball's defense looked less close than Flash Wolves' defense. And that's really saying something. It was like every single fight, when Fireball were defending, Flash Wolves were getting shut out. They were getting shut down, someone was getting picked, and the one time they did commit with all members for the first fight, got shut down very quickly. It was almost a complete team wipe, and then on the very last one, it was a complete disaster. It wasn't even a full commit. Fireball at least got about 3 full team commits, and then the other times were the same as what they did at Flash Wolves, where a few of their members were getting picked.
Absolutely. So Fireball got themselves a couple of good fights, and that's more than what Flash Wolves did on their attack, because both teams, I feel like, had those moments where, like you said as well, just got early pickouts. For Fireball, it was all towards the end. So we said, like, 2 minutes remaining. It's a reasonable amount of time, but within those 2 minutes, a minute and a half of that was just Fireball losing members consistently. The big turnaround, 6 or rather 5 ultimates available for Fireball, 1 ultimate available for Flash Wolves, and Flash Wolves still held on. Didn't have an EMP. Kurlos had an EMP. Fireball weren't able to pull the trigger. They're going to have to look over that and be very disappointed.
Here we go now. Golden Point. It all comes down to this. Fireball, can
control, really? It's control center? I mean, this is where
huge.
Fireball had their best showing.
Fireball, can you make God burn?
It depends. If it's Apollo, the god of the sun, I don't know. What kind of god?
Apollo.
What kind of god
I thought you meant like Apollo as in like a shirt.
Yeah,
Like
that.
polo
I mean,
shirt.
those also
they're quite flammable. You're right.
Sorry.
But here we go.
I'm not wrong. Whatever interpretation you got.
Yeah.
there.
Well, in any case, already out on the aggressive is Bacon Jack. Not going to make the same mistake twice. It's Realment a little bit aggressive here. Flash Wolves have all the positioning. Need to be careful not to lose anyone, but they need to be careful not to overextend as well as the flankers start to come into play for Fireball. Flash Wolves have to pull back, give up a bit of positioning. Good save on Apudo there by Ninth, and now the positioning is a little bit reset. Fireball have another window to get in. Oh, and there's the window.
Yeah, Jongi, the first person dead again, and we saw this last time at Control Center.
Hold on a second though. T2What a little bit deeper, Ninth out of the mech. Fireball haven't actually converted further kills here, and Flash Wolves are on the cusp of capping here. Apudo would need to get something big, but shutting out Enzinar is going to be the closeout for that fight. Fireball had it very, very close there, I will grant you, but Flash Wolves just had a little bit more control over the ground.
And actually, you want to look at the differences between the last time we went to Control Center. This fight started out very much in the open ground. The last time we were here, the fight was on the higher middle ground in that sort of that narrow room section. So, I mean, both teams have kind of... Flash Wolves actually forced the fight more into the open space, and I think that's where they thrive a bit better.
Cien's now looking to come around the side now. Nearly has a pulse bomb. He's been spotted out by Bacon Jack, so this has been read now. They know what's happening. It's not going to get anything too sneaky, but it gives ground to the rest of Fireball, who are trying to aggress the point, but they're having a bit of a hard time of it. They have to commit a Transcendence to it. Bacon Jack is kind of forced around the side. Zonda opening up now. Tac Visor, double sound barrier. Flash Wolves already on the top of this one, with Apudo out of the picture, having committed the ultimate. Singlet in trouble, but he should be able to keep himself alive here, given that Fireball aren't really diving onto him. They did get a cap through in that, just because they forced Flash Wolves off, but Flash Wolves are coming up the better of this fight, should be able to get a regrab.
This is pretty tough, but actually Fireball managed to get the cap over, so much like we saw in Night Markers, despite Fireball losing the majority of these fights, they're able to hold on and buy themselves additional fights, and actually drawing out for a long time, and getting a decent amount of progress. In fact, they're nearly at 30%.
And the thing about this, right, it's not just getting 30% for Fireball, it's also denying 30% for Flash Wolves. If that cap hadn't gone through, Flash Wolves would be about 70% right now, and Fireball would only have one fight left.
Absolutely. I mean, 1.5 fights maybe if they're lucky. A couple of trickles in for the overtime, but we would be forcing that overtime. Flash Wolves are now set up. They have 4 ultimates available. Gonna go up to about 5 in a second here. So for Fireball, it's gonna be a hard one, but they need to pull through.
Yeah, they've at least got time to draw out ultimates.
That's one
in this
way to
fight.
do it.
Oh,
That's
one
one way to
really
pull
big,
through.
actually. They've got time to draw out ultimates and then commit. Wow, they're just closing it out. They get Jongi as well.
They don't even have
yeah, they're on the upper for this fight.
Gone.
The pulse bomb. Oh dear, Rocket did walk into that one, but aside from that, it had almost gone wide. Enzinar in trouble though. He gets forced out of this one, but they get the couch on the healers now as the DPS is struggling to rejoin the fight. Fireball won't get caught out by the self-destruct, and they should be able to get onto this point. This time though, it is Flash Wolves stalling out the time here. Kurlos has to commit. Apudo's committing as well. Flash Wolves haven't really committed too many ultimates. Zonda did commit his there to try and draw more time. I don't disagree with it, but Fireball is still on top of this point. They should be able to cap it through, but no, here we go. Actually, Flash Wolves want this. They're going to commit the Transcendence as well, but Enzinar catching 2 with that one means that actually now Flash Wolves have exhausted all their ultimates. The cap still goes the way of Fireball, and suddenly Flash Wolves, they have a bit of an uphill battle ahead of them.
And Flash Wolves, they came back in and actually committed those ultimates, because the concern for me was Fireball actually came in, got the kill onto Zonda. Yeah, they were super far behind. I didn't expect them to win that fight, so they had no ultimates going up against 5, get a couple of kills. Flash Wolves don't commit anything. Kind of a mistake on my part. They come in and finally commit. They actually hold on to the point while Fireball wins. So Fireball, while they got the cap, they actually have to catch up on progress.
Double sound barrier here is available, but Titawat's ultimate could swing it. Pulse bomb out. Titawat's already ulted. Fireball in trouble. There's the sound barrier to try and save them, but it doesn't save neither's mech. Titawat's still in trouble, not quite being topped off, and the DPS isn't quite pulling the weight. They're not actually closing out kills here. Flash Wolves are just kind of running circles around Fireball here, who really just need to pull back, not lose too many members on the back end of this, and then they do have a narrow window to re-aggress.
It's a super narrow window as well. If they're going to back up, they're going to back up really quick. Otherwise, they need to be able to commit onto this. And it looks like they kind of half committing. Now the cap goes over, and Fireball will be in desperation mode.
Kurlos died way too late, and Enzinar committed way too late. Now they have to try and deal with Zonda's tactical visor, as T1 has to jump to the point just to force overtime, but he's already dead. They might not be able to force it. Oh, someone just barely on the point there.
Apudo has to turn it around.
He has to get so much work, but he's getting forced off to the side by Jongi. Oh, that's a really great save with that Transcendence, but the biofield has to save Apudo itself now. Jongi is going to be able to rejoin the fight. Fireball may be able to wheel around and rejoin it as well. K-Momo out of the mech. They are able to get a bit of a window. Sinclair can save Jongi's life. Good catch on to Bacon Jack. Fireball, they're still just barely in this. No, they're not, as they lose Apudo, and it will be Flash Wolves in a 3-0 on the ropes at the end, but they do hold steady.
And we talked about how much were Flash Wolves going to get pushed. We've seen Blank push Flash Wolves, but I've not seen any other team in this tournament push Flash Wolves the way Fireball just did. That was incredible.
This is, you're exactly right, the farthest they have been pushed, and like I said, they've already showed how to beat Flash Wolves on Assault. They didn't do it themselves, but they showed you how. And that is something the other teams, AHQ and Blank, are going to pounce on for the finals. We don't know which of those two teams it'll be, but it will be one of them. And they've just learned something very, very important. Something Flash Wolves have spent the last 7 weeks trying to hide.
And actually, it's very interesting because when you watch Flash Wolves, specifically when we go to Temple Anubis, which is where they really struggled, That's about the weakest I've ever seen Flash Wolves in the entire 7 weeks where they've had an undefeated victory streak. This is about the only time Flash Wolves, to me, have looked like they've been stumped. Like, what do we do here? How do we even get past this? How can we even attempt to win this point? They got nothing. They didn't even get it. They didn't get any cap.
You know what's about to happen as well, Kevin? They're about to play Hong Kong Attitude. They're about to play Hong Kong Attitude, a team that is phenomenal with that Sombra. I would rate them as one of the best Sombra teams. And Fireball just showed Hong Kong Attitude how to beat Flash Wolves with Assault. I could see them dropping this to Hong Kong Attitude. This has not been...
a minimum of a map.
This has not been Flash Wolves' toughest challenge tonight in terms of the teams they have to face. Hong Kong Attitude are going to be a tougher challenge than Fireball, and I do see us going to 4 games with the Hong Kong Attitude Flash Wolves series.
And Hong Kong Attitude get that home side pick advantage as well, so they're going to be able to get the control. They're going to be able to, importantly, get that Assault as well. And look, Hong Kong Attitude are no strangers to playing out a full best of 5, and I think the potential to go to 5 maps is definitely there, and the potential for Hong Kong Attitude to actually take it out as well is also there. But I think a minimum of 1 map loss is in the books for Flash Wolves.
Flash Wolves really have to take that series super seriously. They had to give it a lot of respect. They gave Fireball respect as well. That's the other thing. And they said that they were going to at the top of the match. So you can guarantee they did. That wasn't some kind of subpar Flash Wolves. That was, there was no, oh, well, let's hide strength. There was none of that going on. That was Flash Wolves playing really what they felt was their best for this matchup. And Fireball really had them on the rocks there.
And that's the thing, that they played their best, and at points, their best was not good enough. And we haven't seen Flash Wolves playing at their best being not enough at all for 7 weeks. For 7 weeks, it's been dominant performances from Flash Wolves and just map wins after map wins, fight wins after fight wins. There was never really a point where you look at Flash Wolves and say, look, what their best right here is actually not enough. That moment has not happened.
Blank and AHQ will scour every detail of that matchup, not just the Assault, every single match that happened in that one. And they are going to find things.
Speaking of
the
scour,
exact situation, I just kind of, yeah, well, we'll take a look at this fight, and I'll sort of wrap up what I was saying there. But this was, if I'm not mistaken, this was that final fight here for Fireball, and no, this is for Flash Wolves, sorry. And you can see this here, right? No one was on the point because Zonda was busy forcing on the side. The fact that the EMP from Kurlos went through then meant that no one had mobility tools to get the point. Bacon Jack was holding onto his blinks so that he could dart onto the point and then recall. That was really smart decision making by Kurlos to hold it for that moment to stop someone from forcing a contest.
Absolutely, and Zonda just wasted like a second or two. You actually saw that he tried to jump up on the side ledge, realized he couldn't get there, then decided to make the wraparound. And if he hadn't made that sort of jump play, it may have just been able to touch the point itself. We're now going to go into another replay as well, and this is going to be 6 ultimates online for Fireball as they go into their final push as well. And this was kind of a difficult situation to play in because both teams had 6 ultimates. EMP came down first from Kurlos, and then a response from Sinclair as well. But both Genjis actually going down fairly early. Flash Wolves, you can actually see on the top right bar, had a lot more ultimates to play with, while Fireball actually used the majority of theirs.
Yeah, and Fireball committed theirs very hurriedly as well. They didn't really maximize things like the self-destruct. T2Watt ulted at a bit of an awkward time there, and it kind of run out quite early in that. It was just a little bit of an awkward run of timing, but it was still an uphill battle for Fireball anyway, so it's hard to fault them. I want to say though, Flash Wolves right now, they're in the situation Blank were in the first round robin. We know exactly what this looks like. When you are at the top, when you are dominant, all eyes are on you. All eyes are on you. Everyone is just waiting to find a weakness, see who's going to crack it. Once it gets cracked, doesn't matter who does it, every team will pounce on it because you are the team everyone's looking at. That's the only team that matters. That's the only team that needs to be cracked. And they have been cracked in a way here. So now it's going to be on Flash Wolves to try and figure out how to patch up that weakness. And that is much harder than figuring out how to exploit a weakness.
And actually something I noticed from Flash Wolves as well, if you remember that first replay of their attack against Fireball, they played Zonda on the Reaper. So I mentioned Reaper was one of the options that a lot of teams are now playing specifically on the attack to sort of play around the Sombra defense. The interesting thing to take note about Flash Wolves is their Reaper player is actually Bacon Jack. He's their main Reaper player. Because Bacon Jack needs to be the Tracer player, they have to put somebody else onto the Reaper. They're not putting their main Reaper player. That sounds kind of like maybe off because I don't think Reaper, personally to me, as a super high skill cap kind of hero. It's not like you're playing a Genji. At the same time, you do want to put your best players on their best positions. Now we're going to go onto the control center, which was the tiebreaker.
Yeah, this was the golden point itself, and this was the fight that swung it back for Flash Wolves. And again, it was just a case of who was able to commit ults at certain times. Fireballs had to, stuff like this sound barrier, right? It had to come out earlier because Ninth and Tita-Watt were getting aggressed upon. And because Realment was able to commit his later, it was more about giving them a window to keep aggressing rather than trying to save the fight for themselves. And that little bit of difference is really significant in these sorts of fights. Also, there was time for Fireball to back off, but ended up committing the Pulse Bomb into that was the entire reason they actually couldn't properly commit to a later fight. Because by going in to commit that, even though he got a kill, it didn't matter because that was someone who could respawn in time. It was the Lucio. He's mobile enough to rejoin the fight. You lost an ultimate and Enzinar died and couldn't join the fight. That was the final one.
And that's the other thing as well. I remember specifically saying at that moment, Fireball need to decide here whether they're going to commit or not, whether they're going to throw everything at the wall and just try and make something stick.
They decided both at the same time.
Or they're going to decide to fall out and reset for another fight. They tried to hold on to a little bit of progress, and they might help them out if they get the recap, but you actually need to get the recap. Yes. That's the most important thing. I think they should have really set up for the recap instead. Come back, recap it, and then worry about the percentage part later, because if you don't get the recap, you just lose, and that's exactly what happened.
And that is actually something that is still, I feel, a bit of an endemic weakness with Fireball right now. For all the improvements that have been made, there is still one big issue within their team, and that is, shall we say, efficiency with ultimates. Sometimes they just don't commit the right ultimates at the right time. Sometimes they overcommit ultimates. We saw one earlier tonight, actually, with Enzinar and Roadhog committing a very odd whole hog when it was not at all necessary, and that wasn't the only time that happened in that series against AHQ. And that does still happen, Enzinar committing that pulse bomb at that particular moment. It's just little things here and there, and then sometimes committing too many things at once, not quite at the right time, not maximizing.
Double support ults, overlapping.
It's just not maximizing the mileage you get out of your ultimates. And when you're against a team like Flash Wolves, it means you have to have more ultimates than them if you want a chance to win that fight.
Right, play of the game goes to Bacon Jack on the Tracer. No surprises here. It's Bacon Jack or Zhongi essentially, but Bacon Jack well deserved.
They just flip a coin like
rated
Bacon Jack side.
It's instead of heads or tails, it's Bacon Jack or Zhongi. But he is one of the most highly rated players in the tournament. We looked at the blank interviews yesterday. Every single member there, aside from a couple that wanted to be different, they all said it was Bacon Jack.
Yeah. And the one that wanted to be different said Zhongi.
Well, I mean,
so there you have it.
Well, actually, Gumbo said Realment as well as the most improved player.
So, yeah, quite right.
So there it is.
And that's the thing, right? Sometimes when you flip the coin,
sometimes
when you flip the coin, it lands on the side, and that's Realment getting player of the game.
Play of the game, player of the game.
Play and player actually.
Yeah, why not? What I'm actually quite impressed about is, cool, Bacon Jack got the player of the game. That's very good. He's a very good Tracer player, obviously. But Enzinar challenged that multiple times.
He really did.
Enzinar was not afraid to take the 1v1s. In fact, on that final control center as well, and that golden cap, on that tiebreaker, you actually see Bacon Jack kind of pulling us, says, I'm losing this 1v1. I got to get out of here.
Now we're going to go free reign.
Now we're going to go to the actual post-match interview. It's going to be with Realment. And I get to finally say it, real talk with Realment time.
蛮有感的啦。
你觉得主要是差在哪里啊？
I kind of felt that was hard. Where do you feel was hard? I feel like their ideas improved. A lot of their strategies and the way they play the game was good.
对，就是他们闪光后排的骚扰蛮到位的，然后前排也不会就是自己乱打这样。
Actually, their Tracer was really good at attacking our back line, and their front line was strong as well.
会打起来看起来会很混乱这样子。
对啊，对啊，他们
It's
有
very
时候
difficult to
好
play.
像以前比较重单兵，现在比较团队的感觉。那今天你觉得你玩的还 OK 吗？
How did you feel you played?
除了那个空打以外，其他应该是没什么问题。
I feel like I had a bad moment, but I think overall it was pretty good.
集合中吗？
不是那时候我在跟队友讲话，然后讲一讲，我就不小心按到了。
There was a moment where I was still talking. Oh yeah, so he's saying about the one ultimate he used by accident. He says he was talking to his team, he accidentally pressed it.
就我坐在我旁边的那个啊。
Zonda 是不是？
He says Zonda wasn't too happy about it.
这是你联赛以来第一次控到吧？
对。
That's the first time I made that mistake in a match.
要打季后赛了哈。那这边要问一下，大家刚刚分析台有讲说，为什么突然选艾希瓦德？是不是现在
Why did you pick Eichenwalde?
算是啊。不过我们其实每一张都
A lot of teams are practicing specific
因为
maps.
刚刚看 Fireball 的艾希瓦德好像打得不太好。
We noticed that Fireball weren't too good at Eichenwalde, and we wanted to pick this especially against them.
顺便当做也是练习一下。
对啊。
那再来问一下神庙的部分，因为这次是失手了嘛。
But also Temple of
因为以
Anubis.
往看到你们进攻方的时候很喜欢选死神加亥，为什么这次进
You
攻方
play a lot
这
of
样
Reaper Sombra. What's going on?
主要是因为我们 A 点打下来的时候，我们是有大局的优势。不过我们在 B 点的时候，因为一些配合的失误，然后一直没有机会。
So after we cap the first cap, we use our ultimates, and then we make the change, and then it's about
我们就没有机会开大这样子。
playing something, playing a composition that's specific for beating that second cap.
因为现在这个版本的牛仔死亡率真的太高了，对。
哎，你刚刚后台说他本来死亡率
他本来就很容易死了，他的牛仔我们。
他刚刚就跟我说，中大本来就很容易死了，你还叫他选牛仔，现在上台上就变成啊，这个 meta 牛仔死亡率比较高。好啊，那因为
He was saying before, like maybe he was mentioning Zonda dies a lot. Now he's saying, oh, it's because of the hero in the
练
middle.
习量也比较大，有没有对上就是比较失控的状况？
还好哎，大家都蛮听话的。
蛮听话的。
Everyone's
季总
listening a lot
比
at
较
the
喜
moment.
欢自己乱跳。
And Zhongyi, I think Zhongyi jumps a lot randomly,
哦，
and
就
I'm
要
not
拦
too
住
happy
他，
with
他
that.
自己不敢乱雷这样子。那因为等下要打的是 HKA，
So you're
你
about
觉
to
得
play
胜
Helmet
算？
Attitude.
虽然他们进步蛮多的，
I think they've
不过其
improved a
实
lot.
我们只要打好自己的东西的
But
话，
I think we just focus on ourselves
没有理由输他们了。
and
好
make
啦，
sure
等
that
一
we
下
don't
加
lose
油
to
啦！
them.
那马上把画面交给我们的沙发区喽。
And of course, we're going to go to the couch interview as well. Very shortly.
Extremely shortly.
Extremely shortly, and here it is. It's going to be with Zhongyi, and
大家好，我
K-Mama.
是闪电
Zhongyi,
的
Zonda.
大家好，我是闪亮的
Zonda, Jonda, and Comba.
大家好，我是闪电狼的中大。
对，非常开心请到3位选手，对，也是人气很高的选手。那今天要想问的一些问题就是，都毕竟打进季后赛嘛，也先恭喜闪电狼，那就是会回顾一下我们在这一季整季的一些东西、一些想法，像是说，一直从一开始的业余队伍，到了是加入闪电狼，然后呢一路这样子打，
Since you've joined Flash Wolves
打到了甚至是进了季后赛。那我觉得
And now you're
蛮
in
想
the
了解
playoffs
是每位选手在途中的一些心情。我觉得要发自内心的回答这个问题。心情，对。
What is each member sort of?
一路这样一路走过来，打进季后赛，有没有什么样的感想？
How do you feel about your progress you made since you joined the team until now going to the playoffs?
你先讲。
我吗？我的话就是没有什么特别的感想。
I don't have any
就
particular
打上来
thoughts.
就对了。
现在
计划内的嘛。
对。
哦，计划内没有问题哦。那这边江迪，
Zhongyi
我之前也没有待过什么业余队伍，就是没有很长时间的去在一个队伍里面一直打比赛。
I haven't been with the team in one team for
刚
a
好
super
加入
long amount of
那
time.
嘛，然后那时候有打比赛，然后后来就有开始练脚，然后后来就一直进步。
And this is the first team I joined where we really stuck together and we get to really
过程
improve a
还
lot.
因为一直练脚那个转换是很痛苦的。
是，而且我想说这年纪其实有冲到一些是课业上面相关的一些压力。
对。
So you're also a young
所以
player.
一路走
We
过来还是
got
蛮
different
辛苦的
pressures why he says yes.
那 K 某某这边呢？
You remember?
主要就是刚开始会有一点不习惯职业的，因为
So I'm not quite. At first, I wasn't really used to professional play,
还行。
and now I'm a lot more used to it. It's a lot easier to deal with.
有很多人叫 K 某某。
因为那时候忘记谁跟我讲，我就K 某某好没问题，就变成 KIMO。
对。
I used to call you chemo, remember? Then I realized it came
对，
from.
没，这毕竟是比较少见。那再问一下这个问题，就是在这期间呢，就是你们像刚才主播台阿包子有提到的是，你们经历了一段低潮期。那在
So you've had a low moment in the tournament as well.
赛之中哦，就是你们最有压力的时段是
That was probably the hardest point in the tournament for you.
那是怎么度过这个事情？
And what sort of happened in that
压
area?
力的时段就是我跟季总配合的时段嘛。
是。
虽然现
There
在
was a time
也
when
没有很好
I was trying to really work
主
with
要
Zhong in
到现在
particular.
的最艰难的事情就是配合。
是。
And I think at that time it was our cooperation, our coordination that was really problematic.
就之前打输 M17跟那个 HQ 嘛。
So when we lost to
因为那时
Marchi
候
and
还没有
HQ,
找到什么比较好打法。
and we haven't really
然后后
found
来
our
打出
feet really well.
两场
We're
之后
struggling to find something
想
that really works
就
for
是
us.
因为之前都是一直赢嘛，那时候就是输的时候才有想到更多的东
And
西。
when we really took those losses, we were able to learn a lot from those losses and work a
输
lot
两
harder.
场之后的成长幅度是大家完全无法预期的。那中打没有，
没什么艰难时段。
I don't really have any thoughts on that.
一定是这样的回答。好，没有问题。那这边再问一下，其实我们有问过 Blank 很多选手，
So we
还有问过
something we've asked
AHQ
Blank
的
and
就是
AHQ.
你们在整个联赛中，你们最在意的选手不一定是最
So
强，也不一定是他们
which
谁
member
很好，就是
of the top three or just in the
最注
OPC
目的
do you
不包含
really
女
look
主
at?
持人
Who do
也
you
不包含
really
主播在
think is a strong
也不包含
player within the
公主生
OPC outside of your own team?
我应该最在意的就是 Hihi 吧。
Hihi
Lazy
因为
Titan
我们
from
同个
HQ.
位置， 然后他大
because
局
we
丢
play
得
the
好
because we play the same
他有
role,
值得我学习
and。his self destructs are
会有
really
一种
good.
就是可恶，他的第一把丢怎么丢那么好，我却丢得很
可是他
烂
配的比较多啊，有时候是配的比较多。
对他们叫个来英会帮他处理。
And he composed the lazy titan. Lazy titan combos with Erican to do that as well, and maybe with the
Kiyomi 吧，
with the tank we don't have that.
因为他
John
在
is saying
合
Kiyomi
合
from
上
Munchie.
方面，他5连珠算蛮准的，然后他安娜
He's
也
very
是
accurate.
因为他之前的准心就是很准，他也是玩射手，他转到辅助之后又更强。
So
因为他给人家
Kiyomi was a
压力
DPS
是
player who went on to
是射手
Anna,
给人家
and
压力
he's an incredibly accurate player, and it makes it really difficult for
看
me.
那和尚会有压力，
会怕，就是那时候看过去的时候可能都没
看过去的时候，然后和尚手是这样的时候，
他已经可以换掉很多血，
Actually makes you scared to play
就是
against
很
him.
有很敢跟你打那种。
And he's not scared as well. He really wants to fight you as well. He'll fight you toe to
就
toe.
在意的就培根，
培根哦，
差点被他打上亚福迪，还好被我守下来。
还好。
Zonder actually says he actually just says
培根的
bacon
成
jack.
长幅度会让你感到有点压力吗？
也不会啦，就是因为我们擅长的位置本来就不同了，
是，
对吧？
So we play different roles, so I don't have to feel
只
too
是他分
pressured.
数有追过我的那个排名，
了解，
所以就会有点压力。
有点压力，就对了
But。he's
那想
takes a lot
问
of
一下，就
spotlight, so there's a bit of
是
pressure
觉
there.
得在加入闪电狼之后，你觉得自己有什么最大的
So
成长？
what's-
我觉得不关于是
what's been the
不只
biggest
是建立在
change
游戏内，
for you since
就是
joining
我
Flash
觉得
Wolves,
自己对于人生上
even on a
也是
personal
有
level,
成
not
长
not necessarily within Overwatch.
就是找到我自己兴趣的事情，
Finding something I really want to
就
do,
是很享受在职业的
something I really enjoy doing and wanting to do as a career.
主要是这样。
江弟，
很享受比赛吧，
I
然后
a
对于比赛
thirst for competition. I really
比赛
like
提升，
I really like the competitive nature and really like
把比赛打好。
playing competitions and
是的，那
playing well and winning
我
competitions.
加入的职业度比较多，然后就闪电狼给我的感觉，就是目前就是他完完全全就是为选手去着想。
And for Flash Wolves, I've been a professional player before. Flash Wolves is the first time I really feel
都
like
是很努力。
they really care about the players and also want the best for the players and are able to support the players on the teams to really achieve the
好久
goals.
对，我很久以前就听东打这个名字听到现在，对，一路都是偶像这样子。对，那也非常谢谢，非常谢谢3位选手今天接受我们的访问。
Thank you very much
对
to
那
the
我们
three
这边也
members
跟
of
观众
Flash
说一下
Wolves.
拜拜。但下一场也是闪电狼，所以各位观众也不要错过。
That is going to be the interview from all of the members. So there you go.
There you go, indeed. Well, they'll be pleased to have at least held it down and kept the win there. It's not surprising that they're able to take the win there, but man, that was rocky. And I mean, there are gonna be what's the word I'm looking for? Consequences. There we go. There are going to be consequences.
It's the
from
fact that
match.
it's the first time you actually question, can Flash Wolves win this map?
Yeah.
And you usually never question
Yeah.
that. Usually
Yes.
you think Flash Wolves are probably going to
Yeah,
win
you
this.
think when are they going to win and how?
Can the other team really challenge them? And now it's like,
You know what it's
Five will
like?
have challenged them, but are Flash Wolves going to lose?
You know
They're
what it's
actually
like?
going to lose.
We just went from Harry Potter to Game of Thrones, right? Harry Potter, you know Harry's not going to die. Game of Thrones, you have no idea. Maybe they will. The hero might not come out alive.
And it's not even over yet. Season 2 of Game of Overwatch is about to happen pretty soon. Hong Kong Attitude versus Flash Wolves. I got no idea what's going to happen to that one. Either team realistically could really take it out. If Fireball nearly got a map off of Flash Wolves, I think Hong Kong Attitude are definitely going to get at least one map. I'm going to find out exactly what happens in that match after this break.